All right, and now we are recording, and I need to get back up to the top of this document. All right, welcome, my friends. Welcome to the Krieg Dominion. I am Omar Krieg, your Lord and Commander of the Krieg Dominion, and the host for tonight's events, or the storyteller or game master for this Second Star, a Traveler 2300 role-playing experience, Season 2, Episode 2. Apparently I changed the name of the title and I forgot. Separation, or maybe Incarceration. I don't remember. It's one of those two, because I wrote one on for the stream title, and I wrote something different in my notes. So I'll flip a coin later. With me, of course, are my usual characters of people playing characters. So let's hear what they have to say this week for their intros. And while they're doing that, I'm going to look at stuff on my phone real quick. We'll start with Charles, because that's what we always do. Charles, what's new and
Uh,
exciting in your world?
um, I am leaving tomorrow early, crack of dawn. I'm probably only gonna get 3 hours of sleep after we get done with this. Flying to the East Coast for a work conference, professional training, blah blah blah. I talked about last week.
Yep.
Other than that, I was just telling some people pre-stream, trying to walk away from some things, and drama has popped up.
Oh,
So
no.
I sent receipts out, and my work phone, which is sitting on my bedstand, was immediately going ping 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 ping, ping like a slot machine.
But you
I
weren't
just
winning
won.
anything. You didn't win anything.
Well, I don't know because I basically if I basically did oh, you're gonna throw me, and then I'm gonna grab onto your lapels and pull you down, and that's a steamroller coming, kids.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Nice.
so anyhow, long story short, I was been a little stressed out last couple of days, just trying to get things wrapped up before I go on this work thing and be detached. But yeah, other than that, it's can't wait to get out of here for a while. Hopefully, it'll be where I'm going is cooler than this weekend's going to line up to be. So we'll see.
Yeah,
But
I think we do have another, not as severe, but another round of heat coming after another day or two. And that'll
yep,
last
yep,
probably about a week, but it won't be as nearly as bad. It'll just be hot. Not, please just
yep.
shoot me hot.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
No, not really.
All right.
And I play Fritz, the
Ah, yes.
German, the German law enforcement slash spy guy.
The former agent. I almost said imperial agent, but
Yeah,
that's a totally
yeah,
different game.
yep.
But yeah. Agent Wiggles with three G's, well, four if you include the word agent in his name. Wiggles, what's new and exciting for you, my friend?
I hurt my knee and I might yelp out in pain because my knee hurts.
As one would when they hurt, of all things, their knee. In my experience in life, it's usually the knee or the back that people get those, like, the insufferable injury. The one that just really just takes the wind right out of your sails. It's either something in the knee or something in the back. Would that be a fair assessment for you, Mr. Wiggles?
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. Yes, no, yeah,
I mean,
no,
not that you're necessarily in a position to argue, I'm sure, but
no, not really. No, it's turning out today. I'm considering going to urgent care tomorrow.
well,
Ow!
yeah, no, that sucks. And someone once said, actually, probably several people have said, but someone once said that if you're thinking about going, you should probably go. But don't listen to me. I'm not a doctor, and if anything, I'll just get you in trouble. But on the real, I do hope whatever it is you did to your knee can be undone or repaired. I know that, not to take light of anything from what has happened with your knee. I want to share a very brief story. Today, while making my deliveries and hopping out of the back of the truck, I managed to step in such a way that as I put my foot down with one leg and then was leaning down with the next leg as though one would going down the stairs, as my knee bends, it makes contact with the very, very corner of the door frame for the back of my truck. And it was just enough pressure on top of the kneecap while it was flexed, I guess, that it hurt like hell. But it wasn't like I hit it, it just flexed and made contact with the door frame, for lack of a better thing to call it. I don't know how else to explain it. But it's just so freaking annoying how something like that can be almost, not quite, but almost debilitating. That said, Mr. Wiggles, I am there with you in this pain of the knees. I have your back. Well, no. I just talked about how the back is also the bad one.
I have my not hurt knee.
There you go. All right. Anything else?
Uh no, that's it. I guess I'm playing George Wyatt, old spacer hand, who's currently bunked up with his wife,
And there are
and is
certainly.
probably gonna
Go ahead.
burn this place to the ground.
That was literally one of his comments in the preceding week on Discord. Was something about starting a great big roaring fire.
Hey, get a big enough going, state interests are gonna show up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right. Thurgor, once upon a time, we joked about you being the intern, and then we bumped you up to prospect. I guess finally we can, recognize you as a full member of our little crew here.
I would think so.
The way he
You know-
said that, too. I'm just picturing him with, like, narrowed gaze, a stern tone, maybe even pointing at you, like, she thinks so.
Well, I mean, how many flawless docking
Oh, God,
procedures have I
flawless.
accomplished?
Here we go.
11s and 12s with +5 on top of that. Even when the spaceship was near crippled, still I slid that sucker into that space station so gently and so smoothly. Perfect dock, everything. Yeah.
And the only
And
word
then
that came out
I
of the only word that came out of the pilot's mouth at that time was butter.
Except it would have been 9s all the way across the board, except the French judge ruled it a 4.
Yeah, that's exactly that's exactly how that goes, isn't it?
Prejudice.
French bias.
So my mind is a little not together today. It doesn't have to do with anything personally affecting me, indirectly affecting me, yes, but I greatly dislike cliques. I greatly dislike power hungry individuals, especially when they're not even qualified, to be looking towards the job that they want to depose someone else from. But that's what I'm going through, right? Not me personally, but in my work environment that is occurring.
Sounds hideous.
It is hideous. It's probably going to cost me my dental office manager because she's going to be put in an interim position into the position that somebody's getting put on administrative leave about. And it's all just power plays by other people just wanting that original one gone, thinking
Right.
that they were going to be able to step up into her position when they have no education or training or disposition or anything else remotely qualifying them for that job. But they have been persistent at this for the 2 years that I've been here, and they've made their move now. So there will be fallout and blah, blah, blah. But I roll with the punches pretty well. So it's not going to affect me just a whole lot. There's just been a lot going on today. Emergency meetings and canceling patients to go to these emergency meetings that were stupid in the first place, because you go in, they hand everybody a piece of paper, which is a letter. Whoever's in charge there reads the letter to us, and in the letter it says, that they're being very guarded about information, blah, 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 and then ask if there's any questions. Of course, people have questions, to which every reply is, "Oh, we can't answer that right now."
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, so why did you just not email us this?
Yeah. That was a classic. This could have been an email.
Exactly. So anyway, but I'm here. I'm very glad to be here.
Yeah, I bet. Compared to that, I mean, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh
So
man, that's rough, dude. And fortunately I've never been too much caught up in, or there just hasn't been in my work experience. There hasn't been a lot of that office politic bullshit. We're past the 7 minutes, so I think I can drop some big ones now. Personally, I think that sort of thing is just garbage. I wish people would. And I have a deep seated hatred of people that can't just do their job. Like, you're here to do. Listen, if all your job is to push box from slot A into slot B, then fucking push the shit out of it. Like, that's what you're here to do. It doesn't require much more thinking or action than that. Do just that. Now, I get it. If you want to move up, you have to show some initiative. You have to learn the next position up, etc. I get it. And nobody ever wants to stay at entry level. But like, just do your fucking job. You don't
Right.
need to sabotage other people. And this is one of the other. And I saw this a lot when I was in the military. And Charles, I'm sure you did too, considering the shared military background. A lot of motherfuckers would put other people down to make themselves look like they're actually in a better position. When the truth of the matter really is, the individual doing all that is actually much lower in a pecking order sort of thing.
You
we,
nailed it.
we
Yeah.
we used to joke that when you made certain positions, not only were you promoted, you were given the professional knives to join a certain club involving people's backs.
Yeah. I just, and and I don't say that like I feel like I do a pretty good job at my job, you know. And there's probably some metrics that might be applied to what I do to warrant my statement, but I just feel like if you do your job, that means I can do my job. And that means if you're doing your job and I'm doing my job, that means everybody's getting paid correctly. And I just hate how the political side and the backstabbing and the throwing people under the bus can easily take place, all because there's just people that are fundamentally probably they're just not mature for that position or that level of responsibility. I think that's really where a lot of that boils down to. Anyways, let me get off my little soapbox here. Thorgor, did you have anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. I could go on and on and on, but I'm not going to. No, I'm happy to
sorry.
get this started.
I'm
I do
sorry.
think. Hang on a second.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go for it. Go for it.
I do think the title for the session should be "That's Illegal."
Well, so there is a theme or motif I've been trying to go with each episode title. I've been trying to keep it down to one word, just because I absolutely want. I don't know why, but I started. It was an idea like the first couple of episodes, and I was like, all right, fuck it. This is the tradition. This is the precedent now. This is what we're doing. It's gonna be one word. So in my notes, I wrote incarceration. But in the file name for the notes that I'm referencing tonight, it says episode 2.2 separation. So I'm thinking I must have changed it. And so I went with separation because I didn't read my notes before starting. Because who does that? Why would you prep your own prep? Of course, that's the title that's on the stream and everything else. I do want to point out really fast that Australis Plays has begun his shit talking portion of our episode tonight with, if you don't want people below you backstabbing you, then you shouldn't have applied to work at Sith Lord's. I don't know what PTY is. I know what LTD is, but basically saying if you didn't want people to stab you in the back, you shouldn't have been a Sith Lord. That's what I got out of it. Welcome, Australis. Thanks for popping in, man. Let's get back to, well, the tracks that we're supposed to be on. I am, of course, Omar Krieg. You can find me on Twitter at Omar Krieg and YouTube at youtube.com/@Omar Krieg. And, of course, best place to find me is wandering around on Discord, the invite to which is all over my socials and profiles and whatever. Join the Dominion, as this really is the best way to keep up with whatever might be going on, like when new videos of the Greyland Trios League 3025 season matches are being released. Speaking of, we have had our first full week of the 3025 season completed as of the video that was released this morning. If you haven't checked it out, get in there. There's a lot of good action going on. And, proprietary. That's what PTY means, rather. But yeah, get in there, check out those videos, and get on the Discord and support those other players because they are working really hard to kick the shit out of me. 1-4. That's what I went for this week out of 5 matches. But anyways, let me get back on track once again, because again, I'm being side-railed here. Previously, on Second Star, the Far London ship Wayfinder is redirected to the Gabriella Davies Memorial Station in orbit above Beowulf after finally resolving a wee bit of sabotage by the ship's captain, who apparently was a traitor all along. All logs and accounts for the ship and crew and the things they have been up to since departing Terrain have been seized under the orders of the French Armed Squadron Commander, Admiral Zachariah McTaggart. The crew has been detained and then later interrogated by Captain Teresa Eppenheimer and Lieutenant Commander Irving Bryson, who has identified himself as the advocate for the Flex Admiralty Board. But some of the crew may have noticed how not everything is quite lining up. And this theory is further supported by the fact that select members of the crew are being separated from the rest of the ship's complement and are brought down to what appears to be a research facility literally in the middle of nowhere to be sequestered in an underground site. And for our opening sequence, here the camera pans around slowly, having taken station in a corner of a small, dimly lit office, otherwise giving the feel for being later in the evening. Three people sit in this office. One, an Asian man bearing the rank markings of an admiral, sitting behind a desk, leaning back in a chair with fingers interlaced over the top of his head, a pensive expression on his face. The other two are seated across from him, a female captain and the other a lieutenant commander. And we're certain this is the best option, the admiral asks. Honestly, sir, starts the female, it's being pushed down on us, the lieutenant commander interjects. The Admiralty isn't really asking us to do this. That's your department, Bryson, the Admiralty says a little shortly. Excuse me, the Admiral says a little shortly. You're their man here, are you not? I am, Bryson replies, but not necessarily in the way you think I am. No, the captain says, you're here as their eyes and ears. And she pauses for a moment, and then she adds, and their mouth. Not quite, Bryson begins to argue, defending himself, but he is cut off again. Stow it. We know why you're here. Frankly, part of me can't argue the board's logic on this. These damn Empire of Mankind have made a mockery of everything Flex has ever stood for, not to mention the various governments of Earth and Terrain. The captain looks over to him, narrowing her gaze ever so slightly. You almost sound like you agree with this plan, then, she asks. If so, why are we still discussing it? I don't agree, actually, on the surface, the Admiral answers. But it seems that with it being pushed on us, we'll have to, learn to accept the taste? Bryson simply watches the two, a faint smirk on his face. Can't say I disagree. Shall I report that you're in support of this operation, then? I don't give a damn, the captain starts before she's cut off once more. I was asking the Admiral. The Admiral takes a moment to consider. Under protest, if you must, he says finally, it should be our assets, and this is not how one cultivates assets. You, of all people on the station, ought to appreciate that. His tone grows hard at the end of his response. Bryson merely nods, rises, and exits the office. I don't like this, Zach, the captain says after the doors close behind the advocate. I don't like this at all. Just get the payroll people to cut the checks. They don't need to know why. Just write them. And that is our opening sequence, and I apologize for my not-so-great dramatic reading of a conversation between three different people. It could have gone a lot worse, though, so I guess there's that.
If it's like really story important, can we get that as a transcript?
I can actually. I can do that. I can post that in Discord later. Although it may not be necessary by the time we get through the session, so remind me if you feel the need. So it is roughly 3 or 4 p.m. on the 21st of May. A full 2 days since landing on Beowulf and being moved to this facility where you are being held in some fairly comfortable accommodations, something like 4 levels below the surface of the planet. All of you guys have like a roommate of sorts. It should be noted that in the 2 days since being brought here, you have been locked in your suites with very limited access to the link. Entertainment is confined to a single, and I kind of joke about this, but I think you guys get the feel for this. Entertainment is confined to a single CBS type television station, so you get some entertainment, a bunch of news, and a little bit of sports, to include, of course, the obviously the Greyland Trios League is a real thing that me and some other players are doing. And I like to have a crossover between all my games. It's just one of those weird things I do, because why not, right? So I think the Greyland Trios League would be something of a fictitious series in Traveler 2300, the game that we're playing right now. So I think what will happen is you guys will get like the season 2 season premiere, which would be the 3025 season, and you've only got, because of time delay from when they're released on, wherever they're produced, like on Earth or whatever, you're only getting like the first 1 or 2 episodes, but you see them like 3 times over the 2 days since you've been brought down here. And of course, each individual episode will show like one of the big matches and some interviews and some of the drama going on behind, some of the teammates and stuff like that. Something kind of like Friday Night Lights, except it's BattleTech battle mechs shooting the shit out of each other. I don't know. I never watched Friday Night Lights. So anyway, so yeah, your internet access is severely constricted. Once again, professionaldevelopment.link.com or whatever the case might be. You have a CBS type television station. Food and water or fruit juice has been brought every so often, delivered by a guard who has made exactly zero effort to interact with or respond to any of you outside of delivering the food and then taking away the remnants of the previous meal. More importantly, nobody, and I mean nobody, has been in touch with you in any way, shape, or form in the 48-ish hours that you've been on planet, other than your individual roommates. Does anybody have any questions or anything like that before we get going?
I do not.
I do like how Wiggles is like the stream service only has odd number seasons, and you can't skip opening and you can't skip commercials, bro. That's like Hulu at the basic level.
It's like every 4 hours at the Force we have Welcome to Friends.
Yeah, exactly. I know that feeling. Fritz, we'll start with you.
Okay. So I know I can't get out based on the notes, and I've just been getting this juice and other stuff. So otherwise, after my shenanigans on the station,
Where you're trying to convince everybody that you're stark raving mad.
yes, exactly. Are just to be ignored all the way.
Yeah. Well, that was the goal. The method by which was to pretend to be stark raving mad.
Exactly. And I have the former comm guy with me.
Yes.
So I have all the stop me from taking the secret notes, but I have some of the notes. So I'm just gonna be like between recognizing that it's the same movies over and over again, and and just making a sly reference to some old movie about a dude trapped at a hotel up in the ice.
Was that a Shining reference?
It's the shitting.
Wait, what? I didn't catch that last part. What was it?
I said it's the shitting, not the shining.
Oh
yeah.
The shitting. Yeah, copyright. Yep. Gotcha. The shining.
Yeah. Sorry, I watched those with my kids. The Simpsons Treehouse Horror recently. Anyhow, so I grabbed him and I said, okay, let's roll through everything that you know. And I'm gonna go first off. The previous XO was, and I'm gonna air quote this, fired and arrested for cooking the books. What do you know? Because you were per the crew manifest on there for that last deployment.
I think Paul Gray. I think Paul is at first. I think he's gonna be a little bit hesitant because he has the feeling that like you found bugs when you first came in the room. Then you destroyed or shorted out or whatever.
Yeah.
2 or 3, 4 of them. And Gray's kind of like, listen, I'm not, I've never been a super spy, but I feel like if there was 2 or 3 that you were able to find, there's probably 1 or 2 more that, Yeah,
and I'm gonna hand wave that. I'm gonna say, dude, I know. They put the obvious ones out so that anybody with training would recognize things, and there's other things hidden. They probably are listening for us, and I don't know how much the corruption is around there. But let's just lay the cards out on the table, and let's logically think through this, because otherwise they're going to drive us stark raving mad. Because all they're doing is bringing us the ham and lima bean.
The ham and lima bean meal with dried out rice.
Yeah.
And the butter packet that is clearly expired.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're not even giving us the good habanero. All they're giving us is the
it's the Tabasco or whatever. Not Tabasco, but it's the hot sauce that is just hot sauce.
Yeah.
It's not even flavored. It's just hot.
Exactly.
Burns.
Yeah. I mean, and we're not even getting the jalapeno cheese whiz or none of that stuff. And it's just it looks like red fruit juice, but all it tastes like is
red water.
Red water.
Food coloring.
Yeah, food coloring in the water. Okay, let's just be honest here. They're still trying to run psychological stuff on us, or if they're not, they just don't care. All right, so let's just who's ever going to listen is going to listen, and we'll do what we can. So boom, and I pull out one of the chips I have with the data on it, and I gave it to him. I said, plug it in, read through the stuff, And you tell me what you think. And it's basically some crib notes based on the message traffic and the fact that the previous XO was fired, and
Yeah, and
the
I think what Paul gets, so he'll take your geek stick and he'll kind of plug it into his port that he, obviously you helped him
Okay.
acquire.
yeah
And he'll kind of, I say thumb through it, but I feel like maybe he's getting a readout on like the inside of an eyeball or some sort of
yeah
protection. But he'll thumb through it and he'll be like, everybody says the XO was a hard ass. I don't think he was. I mean, okay, yeah, he was a hard ass because he was the XO, but he wasn't a hard ass because he was an asshole. Like he wanted us to be good at what we did, and truth be told, I've served on ships in the British Navy. I'm sure they would have called it Her Majesty's Royal Navy or whatever the hell, but
yeah
or his, I think, because I think in 2300 it's king, not a queen.
yeah it's a king.
Anyway, and it's literally our life and death unless we just literally sit in orbit, and even then, God only knows what can happen. One micrometeorite takes out something, and now you can't breathe, and everybody's screaming for help. Anyway, I don't think the XO, somebody like that, either is going to be on the up and up, or he was at the heart of the corruption all along. And if he went down because he was at the heart of the corruption all along, wouldn't that mean he would have taken somebody else with him? They didn't even come after.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
God,
at that
the
point,
former
I'm
pilot,
like,
I can't remember her name now. They didn't even come after her until weeks later.
right, and then I'm sitting there looking at him with my eyes wide and just pointing at my nose and then pointing at my forehead, pointing at my nose, and then
I got you. I know where you're going with this.
right. Well, and not just that, but it's like there you go. All right. So let's just I'm not
I
saying.
think, and Paul kind of kicks in a little bit. He's like, I wonder. Hold on, we know now because the captain blew up the engine. Well, it wasn't the engine; it was more like the reactor. But whatever. He blew things up in the engine room, and then dipped out with one of the engineers.
Right.
What if the captain was the one that got him? What if the captain was the one that was cooking the books all along, and then blamed it on the XO to keep himself on the ship?
And I clap my hands and I say, "There we go."
I feel like, oh, there you go. The seal gets a fish.
yeah. And I'm like, dude, and I was like, okay, and I mentioned that's where I was going with this thought process too. That the skipper, and because he was on, this is his second time through this thing, right?
Yeah, because he had spent the previous 4 years as, if I remember right, he was the captain, but his rank was a commander. No.
Yeah.
He was a commander in the U.S. Navy, and when he got out, they gave him the rank of captain, put him in charge of the Wayfinder, and then they wanted to make him an admiral, but he wanted to stay on the ship because he's spying. This is a little bit of out of character information here. And he didn't want to be that high up because obviously you're as dumb as this may sound, you would think as being an admiral, you'd have a little bit more access to more information, but the truth of this is that he'd be stuck at a desk somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas as a captain, at least he has literal flexibility and movement.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, and I would kind of elaborate that on the Paul Gray and say, okay, so now that we know that, and we know that he was connected to the Empire Man, based on what you know about what we did and what were your shares when you guys came back from that first trip, how much do you think the captain skimmed off the pay towards the Empire of Man?
God, I have no idea. I don't even know what was in the books in the first place.
Right.
If you steal a little bit several times, it's a lot easier to hide it than taking a bunch at once. So maybe,
right.
I don't know. It could have been 0.1%, or it could have been 1%, or even 10%. Whatever the number is. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's a small number several times.
Yeah, exactly. And I gotta wonder how many times you guys picked up cargo that was, I don't want to say contraband for some of these colonies, but I know in Innsbruck, and I rattled off like half a dozen things that are contraband.
Half a dozen things that are contraband there, but not necessarily anywhere else.
Yeah,
exactly.
But you guys did the same route, and things were picked up, things were dropped off. I know, because I may have seen some things where what it was marked as, but there were other markings that were kind of quickly spray painted over in the cargo bay seemed to suggest that maybe we weren't carrying loose metal ore, but it looked like it was dangerous, hazardous cargo. So you have to wonder if he wasn't using us to run supplies for the Empire Man around. All right.
It's a
So
scary thought. You know what? This is just this. I think he spends a moment just completely stunned. Like he's never even thought about half of this shit until you start leading him down this road. And I think at one
yeah,
point he actually gets up and starts pacing around the common shared space that you guys have. And
yep.
and after a minute or two, he just starts like, you know what? I just got to get out of here. No wonder that one dude left. No wonder that dude left. I can't think of his damn name now. The guy that you guys met a couple systems back, the one that was like, "Give me money and I'll tell you the truth" or something like that.
Yeah.
And so he goes like, you know what? I need to find Iron Mike. I'll go work for him. That's what I'm gonna do. And he's still kind of mumbling this and just kind of running with it.
And I'm gonna whoa, slow down, Turbo, slow down.
Turbo. Slow down. Oh my god, I haven't heard Turbo in so long.
yeah. I was like, okay, all right, who's Iron Mike?
Huh?
And
what?
Yeah. You just mentioned.
Oh. Oh no. Oh. How do you follow sports at all? Like football?
Just briefly. Just you know.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I put some money down on the robots occasionally.
On the robots. The fictional TV show. That's not even a real sport.
No, well, I actually was thinking about alluding to your Greyland Trios thing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, nothing serious. Just like when I have a little extra, I maybe slip down to the sport hall and put some money down, or I do it between some friends. But I'm not really a serious guy because it's.
So you've never heard of Iron Mike Tankerson then?
No, not all the way. I may have. It might have been in passing, reading something on the sports page. On the raids.
I'm about to blow your mind a little bit. So, all right. So Paul goes into this whole. He doesn't even segue. He literally jumps from one topic to the next. Right. He starts talking about this dude, and so the story. And I'm going to paraphrase this because otherwise it'd be all jumbled. It's probably still going to be jumbled now anyway. Iron Mike Tankerson starts off as a college student going to the University of New Chicago, and he's playing football for him. College ball, right? Big dude. I'm not gonna make up some shit because I have the most basic understanding of football. 11 dudes on a team, all chasing after this oblong-shaped ball, trying to get it to the other end of the field. That's. I know a little bit more than that. But that's about it. Anyway, instead of going pro, Iron Mike Tankerson ends up joining some corporate entity. Stays there for a few years, and then ends up going and becoming a space merchant dude, right?
Right.
Spends like 25 years in space. And then finally one day he's like, nah, I'm done. I'm getting out. He gets out of the space merchant side. Somewhere along the way, he starts up this business. And his business is sports and sports-related memorabilia. Gift shops. Ironically, the kind of shit that Spearman and Aiello would fucking lose their shit and all they're paying. And so his business focuses on producing to some extent, but generally acquiring, not stealing or thieving, but legal acquisition of this stuff, taking it to a couple of different systems across human space, and then filling up the stock for different gift shops, gift stores. When you go to a stadium, half the shit in there was probably delivered or otherwise facilitated by Iron Mike Tankerson. And part of the reason why he's called Iron Mike is, one, the football side, but also for some strange reason, the ship that he spent so many years on was called the Jolly Irons. Now, when he left the space merchant gig, he still had this side business going. He ends up going into journalism and becomes an investigative reporter. At some point, and this is all in the last 8 years, sometime in the last 4 or 5 years, comes across this diamond gorilla, the diamond gorilla ring of Heidelsheimat, which is a world in the Chinese arm, for those that don't know. And I may have mispronounced it. I'm pretty sure it's a German colony out in the Chinese arm. And I forgot to actually flesh out the diamond gorilla ring thing. But for those of us that were around long enough, the Iran-Contra affair, this is it for 2300, involving diamonds and gorillas on a planet called Heidelsheimat. Um, basically, people were gathering up diamonds and shipping them off to these insurgents. Effectively, these insurgents were
Right.
taking these diamonds to use as money to purchase equipment and weapons and whatever else, pay their people, etc., and then go do stuff. And then eventually, some higher power, probably the Chinese government, uh, got them shut down. But Tankerson was the one that caught on and investigated the diamond ring side of it that led to the diamond gorilla exposure, if that makes any sense. So because
Right.
some of these diamonds are like legit being mined, but some of them were being skimmed off. And hang on. Let me skim my notes real quick. Because again, I didn't follow up. I didn't flesh all of this out like I wanted to. Tankerson knows a few people basically everywhere. He's got contacts.
Mhm.
I mean, he's a journalist. Like, why wouldn't you have contacts, right? And it was because of some of those contacts that he was able to actually get the story to break. And this was made evident in the follow-on court case that Tankerson was involved in once it finally went public and forced the shutdown of the mining corporation that was at fault. And a lot of it boiled down to, like, on one hand, obviously bad people are going to do bad things, but also the good people, if they're not doing good enough things, they get shut down. For instance, they didn't have appropriate security measures in place. Because it was basically a bunch of like cheap labor, go dig in the mountain, bring me diamonds. But there wasn't enough like adequate security. Anyway, Gray thinks two things involving Iron Mike. One, he's not necessarily a journalist lately, as far as he knows. Because after that whole case, he kind of went quiet, and effectively what Gray doesn't know but suspects is that Iron Mike Tankerson basically went back to his little memorabilia shop and just left things running there. He's done
Right.
trying
Try to disappear.
Yeah, trying to get out of the limelight because he's like, all right, that's enough. I'm done. Like my life was literally in peril a few times there. I'm done. But Gray thinks one, if we could get Tankerson in on this, maybe he could shed some light on some of this Empire of Mankind, Flex, and whatever the hell else there is. He also believes because Tankerson has a Torres class courier, that maybe he can get a job because everybody needs a good comms guy after all. And that was a really long supposition about this dude. But that's basically in its entire course of conversation, because we all know I've established Paul to be kind of a scatterbrained, starts one topic, leaps onto another that's almost indirectly related, but then it swings back and forth a few times. I think more than likely Hellwig is going to have to be like, whoa, slow down. Go back like 3 steps. I need to get caught up here.
Yeah. Rewind the tape a little bit. Let's. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna look at him and go, okay. We got Iron Mike. We got this. Okay. Before you jump ship, let's just hang on together because you never know what's gonna happen. But I fully think, based on some things, we may be out of a job ourselves. So you have a point of contact as a patron, great. Maybe we can get a hold of the EXO, and we'll get a hold of Milligan, who's our pilot. And if you got it in for us, let's talk about this because we're definitely gonna need.
I'm sorry. Let's name some of the other characters because they're the ones with all the screen time. They're the main character or the main actors.
Yeah. And if you know this, I'm not saying we need a hookup, but hook a brother up.
I'm not saying we need a hookup, but we need a hookup.
Right. Because I definitely see that. See, this is going to end in one of two ways. Either we're going to stay here for the rest of our natural lives,
which may be very short.
Yeah, which is watching this wonderful TV and are studying these wonderful training films, or we're going to go out into the forest, and there's going to be 12 people that go out, and only 4 come back.
Exactly.
Okay? All right? And not to worry you, and I put my hands up because
I think Paul immediately sees where you're going when you're trying to reassure him and everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I got you. Listen, I know I can be a little scatterbrained. I can jump from one thing to another, and I know I get a little paranoid and a little skittish. I get it. We got to get out of here. And then we can contact Tankerson and see what happens from there.
Okay.
But we got to get out of here first, is what he's kind of like repeating some of what you're saying.
Yeah. We got to get out of here. You're right. But if you don't notice, we're locked in. The
Yes.
guards literally are only open and slamming the door real fast.
Yeah.
Right? To shove the trays in. So it's kind of hard to do anything like this. And I'm going to tell you this. I know you probably watched all those fun spy films, like space
James Bond in the
impossible.
24th century.
Yeah, or Space Impossible Mission where they
Space
fake being
Impossible. Man, we're just coming up with all kinds of great content for the future.
right. Where they faked the sickness and the dude came in. I mean,
Yeah.
first off, that's obvious. Tradecraft 101 type of stuff. Okay, let's just roll with and see where things go. All right.
Okay. All right.
Let's just relax.
Look, hey, they brought more of that red fruit juice that we like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just relax. Let's just relax and kick back and enjoy whatever time we have. And maybe when we get out into the hallways, we can figure something out. All right.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Unless you got anything else, I'll go ahead and use that as our
Nope.
segue over to the Wyatts.
Yeah. And at that point, I'm just gonna go lay back down on the couch and just go.
Sip on your red.
Seat it.
Yep. Seat it. Sip on red drink.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Wyatts, George, your wife is. You've known your wife, according to your Discord message that you posted earlier today. You've known her for something like 8 or 10 years. She is getting incredibly antsy, incredibly anxious, incredibly fidgety, and it may even be working on your nerves because you understand why and how and all that, but there's like nothing that can be done about it, and yet it still seems to keep escalating.
So in the mid 2 days, I also like to state similar to Milligan, we found all the snooping devices, the bugs that we found, and they're all we drown them.
Yeah, of course.
Whatever.
What else do you do with bugs when you find them?
Yeah, or Milligan just getting them all together, hoping the feedback would just kill whoever's listening in on them.
Yeah, exactly.
And when we have real conversations about the situation, we've had the habit of going into the bathroom and then turning on the shower.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's something really sensitive, we'll use the steam on the mirror, and we'll use that as a writing
pad. I love it. I think what it boils down to, and I think what I'm envisioning in my head is, I'm sure at some point you're gonna bring up like, hey, let's take a deep breath, etc., etc. I think what it gets, you could tell that this is working on her, and one thing you know about her, she always is busy with something. Usually, some engine part or something related to the engineering room. If it's not that, she's actively working on some sort of like progress reports or personnel reviews for her engineers. But she's someone that always keeps herself busy. She's not really one to sit idle. She might watch a movie with you, right? Or watch a TV show. Of course, the local entertainment suite sucks. But she'll do that because she knows that for a certain amount of time, she's gonna be locked into this place. She'll watch this show with you. You guys have the quality time together that you both enjoy. And once that's over, she'll be moving on to a new task. Now, that new task might be something as simple as going to bed and going to sleep for the night, or it might be, I'm going to spend 45 minutes reviewing some personnel documents because I need to make sure my guys are taken care of. Or let me go get all my tools cleaned off so I can use them first thing in the morning because we have that rebuild to do. Something like that. She's just always constantly staying busy. Not necessarily a workaholic, but definitely needs to have something to do. And the fact that she's stuck in this room, effectively she's in a hotel room that she cannot leave and she has nothing to do, and watching the same 6 episodes of 2 different shows and then the news, weather, and a little bit of sports, it's breaking her down.
Yeah, and because Wyatt's condition being inside 1.5 Gs, 1.05 Gs, that they can't even really have like board sex. So
yeah, so the gravity on Beowulf is 1.05, I believe, and I'm sure that's traditionally a bit more than what Wyatt can handle for any more than a couple days at a time, at the most.
Yeah,
Considering
either
how
I can either have an erection or I keep my heart pumping. I can't do both underneath this kind of strain.
the timing on the audio cutout was perfect. I'm not going to repeat what he said, though. I'll let you guys figure it out in the viewing audience. But it is pretty funny when you think about what he said. That was
Yeah, no.
amazing.
So you know, it's like so what kind of, how are we eating our meals? What kind of utensils are they giving us?
Oh, they're giving you your generic plasticky. I mean, it's not fragile plastic. Like, you know, if you go to the local deli and they give you a plastic, they give you a little wrapped up individual serving of the spork, the knife, and the napkin. It's something like that, but it's a bit more rigid. Or it's not rigid. Jesus Christ! I tried to say rigid and rugged at the same time. It's a little bit more solid than that, but if you were to try to, let's say, for instance, not that anybody would be trying to dig through 4 levels of under the ground with a spork, but let's say, for instance, if you were to try to do that, it would very quickly disintegrate.
It's a biodegradable thing, so
Yeah,
you know,
that makes sense even more. Did we?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, just trying to figure out, and we haven't been given any of our personal belongings.
No, not yet.
No. And it's like, okay, it's like, so I want to escape and she wants something to do. It's like we start disassembling everything but the television.
But do you take the chance on her doing, like, I'm not knocking her engineering skills. You could take a television apart, probably put it back together, but will everything be right when you try to watch that TV show 4 hours from now? This
It's
is our
the
only
same
form of
fucking
entertainment.
6 episodes. The same fucking 6 episodes. You know,
Oh
there's
God,
probably
what?
a pretty.
Has anybody here watched For All Mankind?
I watched some of the first season and I wanted to watch
Perfect.
more.
So this is like, I think, I want to say like midway through the first season. I think it might be. Anyway, it's when the main character. God, this is gonna sound horrible because I can't remember their names. The main character, who plays the reboot RoboCop, and then there's the black lady, and then the other dude that's basically a bumbling idiot drunk. And they're all 3 of them are up on the moon together, right? And they start reciting Newhart. Or is it Newhart? Bob, it's the Bob Hart show that was on CBS way back in the day.
yeah, it's a Newhart show.
Oh yeah. So
yeah, where he
that's
plays a psychologist.
what's that?
He plays a psychologist, which is hilarious.
Yeah. So the 3 of them stuck on the moon for, effectively months and months and months because something that happened back on Earth is preventing them from being able to send up the next crew that's supposed to take over, right? And they can't just leave the moon to come back because their original mission profile doesn't allow for that. So they have like nothing but like a season or so of Newhart on videotape, and they start watching it so often that they're able to actually recite the lines back to each other without any of the accompanying TV show. And so they actually at one point use that a couple of times as a mechanic or whatever to like get each other to calm down when they're about to lose their shit about whatever stressful thing is going on at the moment. And I could see the Wyatts after about 2 days starting to pick up some of the lines and just be like, no, that's not what he said. He said this. Oh, that's right. You're right. I'm so sorry. Anyways, I kind of tangentialized there a little bit. Did I lose my hearing?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, good. I do have that loose jack for my headset. Wiggles, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. I thought maybe we lost you. Anyway, so yeah, though she's so your wife is basically one part bored and one part frustrated and one part anxious because of being bored and frustrated.
Yeah, no. There's electronics to our abode, and we know we can make a reasonable guess that our suite is probably pretty close to everyone else's suite. So that means they're probably all on the same circuit or network, So maybe
Makes
we can
sense.
rig up a one-way communication where we could send them Morse code in the room, and possibly even instructions how to so we can all talk to each other. And we'll use like the metal railings from the drawers. We'll use fixtures from the sink. Wait, I don't give a shit about this room. Whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
care if it's gonna cost.
They're not gonna bill us for this. Fuck this hotel. Look at the Wyatt Rockstar crew over here.
Yeah, well, at most, they're okay. So if they're not gonna shoot us, that means they're just gonna move us to another room. And guess what we're gonna do when we get to that new room?
Tear that one apart too. Fuck them.
Yeah. Eventually, they're gonna stop.
They're gonna get tired of being billed for the vandalism. All right, I'll let you do this one. You could make a. Let's just call it electronics. What is that? Communicate or No, it's electronics. Just the basic electronics. Intelligence. Let's say a 10 plus, but it's going to be a very limited form of communication.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
it'll be like
that's
Morse
fine.
code or something.
Yeah. And yeah, that sounds good. Am I making it or my wife making it?
Either one.
All right.
Hello, Stormbender. Use your dice pad, not mine.
Yeah, but yours has the lucky dice.
Does it? I seem to recall quite a few dice rolls going against me. I don't know, when I was trying to shoot all the crew up with electric bolts with a glorified cattle prods with range component.
I used to get out of tests that way. This isn't my lucky pencil. I need another one.
Yeah. I literally missed. I think I hit one person. Ironically, it was George Wyatt that I hit with the ranged, the long range cattle prod, which, by long range, it's actually got like 10 feet.
Yeah.
Wyatt, you good? Are you trying to find
Yeah,
numbers?
I'm just looking up. I'm looking up numbers.
Okay.
Can we take our time, or is it always gonna be a 10?
I mean,
'Cause I guess
it's
we
been
have
like
nothing
2 days, so I guess you can get away with taking your time.
All right.
What does that do? That knocks it down from a 10 to an 8, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And so this is gonna be a +1.
Nice.
Well, which means I have a pretty good chance of making it. Let's. Oh wait.
Yep.
Nope. Oh, there we go. Hey!
Hey! Cool. Now for the other two. You hear a steady series of beeps and bops to represent dots and dashes. Problem is, nobody fucking uses Morse code except maybe Paul Gray on a good day. And that's only if he was just practicing archaic forms of communication 101. So, you guys, individually, Milligan and Hellwig, you guys are going to need to make, let me think here. What would that fall on? A basic intelligence 12 plus.
Basic intelligence 12.
I'll call
12
education.
plus.
Intelligence or education. I'll do that. And I will take arguments for something other than that target number, but here's my justification first off. Morse code is probably taught to communication people, but is probably not used except in dire circumstances. And even in dire circumstances, I'm going to cite several other movies, not specifically any of them, but just several other movies when people are like, oh my god, they've been communicating with Morse code this whole time. Hold on, give me paper, I need to translate. Because it takes them a minute to figure it out that they're actually using Morse code because nobody uses Morse code anymore. Except maybe the Coast Guard.
Right.
So I have a little caveat to throw in here.
Uh-huh.
Electronic comms is one of the reference libraries in my head.
Of course it is.
Oh.
Do I even need to roll?
I'll give you an 8.
I mean, I also have electronic comms 1, and then I'd get a +3 on the reference library.
Jesus Christ, what are we at? Like 4? Need a 4
and
total?
then +1 for intelligence if I'm gonna add that.
Jesus
That's a +5.
I'm gonna make you roll just to make you roll. But here's my argument for that. Again, I think it still falls under that same thing of like the human part of your brain still needs to make that. Wait a minute.
What's that noise?
Yeah, what is
Connection
that
to
noise?
the
And then
Morse code.
recognizing the
Yeah.
pattern and realizing that not just a pattern, but Morse code specifically.
Mhm. Instead
So
of
in your
something screwed
case,
up in my
I'll
TV.
allow a 10 plus. But Charles, sorry, unless you got something for me, you're
Nope,
looking at 12.
I just got a +1 in my intellect. I don't have communications. I just have computers.
Okay,
So,
and
I
you
was
can
very
use
expensive.
intelligence or education, whichever one will give you a better chance.
Yeah,
both of you.
I'm gonna use my education because that gives me a +1 better.
Okay,
So mine's a 10 only, or a 10 with all my and I
it'll
get
be
to
a
add all
10,
my.
the 10 plus whatever your mods and shit are.
Oh, okay.
I got a 9.
All right. Yeah, Charles, for you, it's just this weird series of beeps. You're not really sure what the hell's going on. It's
Yeah,
new,
and I'm
it's
Ooh,
weird, but
Bob.
you don't know what it is. Milligan, that sounds like you got a 10 plus at least.
Yep.
Probably
Yep.
a 15.
14. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck off. fucking min-max power gamer. Yeah, no, you recognize this Morse code. So what is Wiggles telling everybody that only Milligan and the two knuckleheads are able to discern?
What are we saying? We were. I didn't plan this far. I didn't think we'd get this. I
He
didn't
didn't
think we'd
think
get this
he
far.
didn't think I'd let him do it. I'm a chaos monger. You should have planned for that.
wow.
He's hacking your. Australia says he's hacking your cybernetics with Morse code.
I think the first thing we'd do is we would develop a talking protocol. You know, like stay who's talking and then like over and out type stuff. Like we would figure out a protocol first.
Okay,
So we don't
something like this
talk
is. Yeah, so this is this is Wyatt. Blah 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 blah. Over.
Yeah, so that'd be the first thing we do. So that way we won't cross talk, right?
Okay.
We can
And-
respond. It's not, this isn't a one-way communication.
This is a one-way communication, unfortunately.
Okay.
At the moment.
Right.
And then we will work out a way to explain how we did it, how we managed to start doing a tappy code. You know, using the TV speaker and then all that jazz. And
I gotta laugh. Australians is like, wait a minute. How do you even min-max and Traveler, where around 50% of your stats are derived from career events that are completely random? It's
Exactly.
simple. You pick up shit that you plug into your brain.
Yeah, but you can only do so much, and I just
Yeah.
happen to have electronic comms.
Yeah, no, you got lucky on that one. Yeah, so unless you guys can really work out some form of active communication, the best you're going to be able to do, Wiggles, is throw information at Milligan. Unfortunately, Charles and Paul Gray are out of the loop because they missed they're just going to hear beeps and bops or whatever. The other side of that too is you could send instructions on how to fabricate this apparatus for Milligan to attempt to put together, but he also would then have to make some sort of probably a basic electronics roll to construct something to be able to respond in kind. And I may even make him have a generic 8+ roll just to see if he can even find the components needed to do that.
I mean, yeah. So in our details, we would explain, where we got the tools, what we tore down to get it, and all that jazz. We are working with the assumption that pretty much all the rooms are identical, if not nearly identical.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's a fairly safe bet that.
Yeah.
Because you guys were on the station, isolated individually for a couple days, and then another day or two after your initial interviews or whatever, and then you were brought down. So theoretically, the Admiral would have been trying to find a place to stash not stash, that sounds bad from GM to player. Find a place to house everyone that he wants to segregate from the main crew. So yeah, you know what? Yeah, Milligan, you get a bunch of information on how to attempt to fabricate some sort of similar device. I want a generic 8+ roll, no modifiers of any sort. This is just to be able to see if you're able to put together the components and tools that you need with what you have in your room post bug smash. Because I'm assuming you would have spent a moment to find the bugs you could find and squish them all.
Oh yeah. After I did the little feedback test, yeah, we were just going, I don't know, so flushing down the toilet or whatnot.
Right. So at this point, you got to.
We do have access.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do we have access to 2 TVs, one in each suite, or is there just one
It's just the
TV
one. Yeah,
in
it's
the
just the
common area?
It's just
Okay.
the one in the common area.
Okay.
But yeah, this is just a
So,
generic 8+ to see if you can assemble all the parts. And unfortunately, you're missing some. But it takes you a
Yep.
while to realize that you're missing it. So here's what I'll do though, and not necessarily because it's a 6 versus an 8, but just kind of a little bit of plot, whatever. Instead of rolling, geez, what did I give? Why, Wiggles? What did I have you roll to see if you were able to put it together?
Electronics plus intelligence or education.
Against what? What was the target number? I don't remember.
he took his time and it got lowered to 8, I think.
Yeah,
or
it was
10.
10, then I took
8
my
or
time
10,
to 8
yeah.
because
Yeah.
we don't have anything else to do, so we just we're
Right.
real fucking careful.
Yeah, I think that basically you'll end up with an 8, and that includes taking your time as well to
Right.
assemble something. But because you don't have all the components, I am gonna bump it back up to a 10. I'm pretty sure my initial target number was a 12, but not important anymore. So your final target number will be a 10. Electronics, intelligence, or education. Let's see if you're able to put anything together here. Can you create your own ad hoc transceiver and be able to talk
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm also narrating a little bit there.
Yeah.
10+. Got a 9.
Oh.
So what's your intelligence or education that
Oh,
you
it's
used?
+1. It's +1.
Well, look at that. So Wiggle. So unfortunately, Hellwig, without even knowing, is cut out of the communication loop. All he knows is that there's somebody's smoke detectors chirping low battery. That's all it sounds like.
Yeah, or someone has one of those cricket annoying devices
Yeah.
set up in the room.
Yep.
And
Meanwhile,
I'm immediately just going that they're doing more psychological tricks. So
yeah.
and I immediately tell George, ignore it. They're not doing anything. So even if he recognized it, and he's like, there ain't nothing there.
I'm gonna make a quick roll or two just because I feel like Paul Gray, who is communications. I'm gonna see if we can get. I'm just gonna go for a flat 10+ for Paul Gray to recognize. God damn, so close. Paul Gray is sitting there, and he's like, "Ugh, I swear I've heard some of this before, but I just can't place it."
Yeah.
And he's totally spacing it. And then lastly, I'm not gonna tell you what this roll is for. It doesn't matter. So fucking yeah. My lucky
That
rolls.
matters.
Yeah, you stay off my dice pad. You don't want to use it, okay?
Somebody
I just
just got
failed 2 rolls
electrocuted.
back to back. One of them being fucking snake eyes. So real quick before we move on, Wiggles and Milligan and Wyatt, +1 and +2.
Mhm.
What sort of short conversation do you guys want to pass back and forth now that you've managed to jailbreak,
I guess
literally
that's
jailbreak a
we-
communication system?
I guess we establish each other's current condition. Like, are we being fed equally? Are we being watered equally?
And I ask about the Exo's health because I know that he's got to be having issues and he can't. I mean, he can't
Oh, the
survive this too
gravitation,
much
the
longer.
gravity difference, yeah.
Yeah.
He would not answer truthfully. He would say that he's doing fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no, everything's fine. I can't breathe because the air is heavy.
Mhm.
Like, super fucking heavy. Okay. Anything else?
That's not a current problem. That's a tomorrow problem.
Right. So I ask if there's a current plan.
Well, established communication is definitely step 0 of any possible plan. We're pretty sure we're. I guess we try to figure out whether or not we're both underground.
I mean, I think we know we're all in the
you guys
same
would know that
facility.
because
Yeah.
you were basically bussed in. You go into an elevator, and everybody should know the difference between going up or down in an elevator, even without a window or what have you.
I do let
Okay.
the XO know that I've got 2 of the troopers with me, and I tell them who.
Okay.
And so we're ready to.
And as soon as
So
Wyatt
they can-
hears that, he's like, "Shit, those 2? Fuck."
Yeah. I said we're down for whatever needs to be done. I said, I'm going to spend the rest of my day today actually talking about the events on the ship with the troopers. Um,
Yeah, no, there's no reason to keep it secret. Whatever, it
right.
doesn't matter anymore.
I'm, at this point, maybe they think we've broken down and are just getting tired of it. So we're just letting it all out. And so maybe they can get the answers they need and believe they're truthful.
Maybe if
And
we just
maybe
talk enough shit, they'll let us
expedite this
go.
process. Well, I mean, really, yeah. I said, other than that, I can't wait for our real payout.
The other thing I want to say is like, okay, so when the guards give you food, can you tell us like the time that happens and any possible description? Let's see if it's the same number of people, if they do it sequentially, or they feed us all at the same time.
I will say that
Yep.
whenever the guards bring you guys food, like across the group, it might be different guards each individual time, but you'll notice after a while that the breakfast guard is usually the same, the dinner guard is usually the same. Does that make sense? Like it's different shifts, but it's the same ones all
Yep.
the time. And you'll
Right, and
you probably would have recognized too that this is from that detachment of guards that came down with you from the station. You'll notice that
okay.
after a day or two that these are some of the same people. Like you'll recognize the face and be like, "Oh yeah, I remember seeing that dude on the." Fuck, I can't believe I'm about to say this again. This
The
is one
drop
the
ship.
drop ship. There you go. You knew where I was trying to go. I was like, I wanted to say it for the joke, but then I was like, I really don't want to say it at all. But yeah, the drop ship. You'll recognize that these were the guards that came down with you.
They were all assholes. It doesn't matter where they came from.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else?
So we have established that it's that they feed us in sequence. So there's not like a lot of people when they do feed us, and there's a known rotation. Um, so from Thurgor to us, we should be able to time how long it takes for them to feed us. So we now can establish rounds for the security.
Or at least that one, maybe. Yeah.
I think once again, you guys throw some shit at me that I don't even think about during prep. I love it. I think the feeding times are usually within a few minutes of each other. So one of y'all will get food at, let's say, 5:01. The other one will get food at 5:05. It's never very consistent, but it's always within a few minutes of each other. Within 5 or 10 minutes of each other.
Yeah, okay, so
when
that's
when
good.
he does come this next time, I'm really looking for him to come so I can, mark the time and do my little signal as close to when he actually gets there as possible. I'm gonna do
And
my
take
best.
photographs of him.
I'm gonna do my best to see past him to see if he's like got a cart, if he's wheeling and delivering meals to everybody, or if it's only just what's in his hand at the time, or what. And how armed is he?
Again, I didn't really flesh out the whole guard situation specifically, but
And of course, you're gonna concentrate on the guards.
Well, no, it was kind of like in the back of my mind versus the scenes I wanted to do. So the guards are armed and armored, and it appears to be sidearms only, but you don't always get a very good look. He may have, not necessarily a rifle, but maybe a carbine on his back. So maybe it's not as obvious that he's got the difference between an M16 and an M4
Right.
as far as
But
like
these
the
are
overall
still
size. But they're
these are still
armored.
deadly weapons and not
Correct.
stun weapons, right?
Correct. Yeah, these are lethal weapons. They may
Okay.
have less than lethal. What I'm looking for here. I'm gonna
Rounds or
say
whatever, yeah.
generically like less than lethal ammunition, but
Yeah.
you wouldn't know that until you get hit with one, and
Right.
50-50 about whether or not you'll find out.
Well, or until I get one in my hands.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm talking about if you get shot with one, it's basically
Right.
50-50 of whether or not you live. If you live, then you know it was less than lethal.
Well, I do still have my suit.
I feel like at some point they would have had you take it off and at least put on a pair of underwear or something.
Well, we talked about this last session because I asked specifically. I'm like, because that's what I was wearing when they took us all off the ship.
I'm trying to remember what.
And I didn't.
I think initially, by the time you had your interview, I don't know if I'm retconning or contradicting myself here. But I think at some point they'd have been like, all right, listen, this is cool and all that you're wearing this, but we can't let you wear this anymore. Take that shit off. Or we're going to take it off. One way or the other,
Okay.
it's coming off. I think at some point there would have been a guard and been like, listen, that motherfucker's armored. I'm not cool with this. We need to fix that.
One way
Well,
or another.
Yeah.
I'm at least
gonna
50% confident that the three of us could overpower him, but we need a plan beyond that. And
Well,
that's
that
what
you
I'll.
don't know how many other guards are in the hallway at the
Right.
same time. Like
Exactly.
the impression you guys are getting is there's only one or two, and there was like, I'm gonna say like 10 or 12 total that came down. Like they could all be effectively
In
on a
the
ready
facility.
5 or something.
Yep.
You know. Anyway, anything else before we move on to our final segment for the first part?
Nope.
Doctor, because the air's heavy.
I missed the first part of that, Wiggles.
I'm gonna need a goddamn doctor because the air's heavy.
Okay. It has been noted once dinner is brought for you at one point that you're like, I can't fucking breathe. I can't fucking breathe. The guy's like, all right, just sit tight. Unfortunately, you don't get a medic. Nobody comes and checks you out overnight. I don't want to answer as to why just yet.
Denying me health care, another thing to put on the Sue list.
Just put it on the rest of your list, Wiggles. Fucking Wyatt's got a case just going put together all by itself.
I made reasonable medical increase because I have, a physical condition.
Yeah,
And
it's
they
called I was
denied
born
me
in
healthcare.
space.
Add that to the fucking list.
Yeah, no, do it. Fucking do it. Flex is not going to survive this particular event. This is what breaks the camel's back. Anyway, Thurgor, you've got Spearman and Aiello.
Yep.
Not working with you, but cohabitating, we'll say.
Right.
These two knuckleheads, despite the fact that that private side of, their private side of the suite is really only meant for one person. These two shitheads have managed to make it work. You have noticed over the last couple days that there is some undeniably powerful bond between these two chuckle. Well, I won't say that. That's a bit profane. Between these two individuals, I almost called them chuckle fucks.
You've been better chuckleheads.
Yeah, chuckleheads. There you go. There you go. However, they are also becoming much more and increasingly convinced that they and the rest of you, by extension, because you're all down here together, that you guys are about to be terminated from your job, and they both really, really like the traveling adventure that this was. And the guns. Let's not forget the guns. They got to shoot guns every now and again. Like, these are... I'm sure we all have an idea of your basic, generic, high school student in a small town brought into the big world by way of military enlistment. That's what these two shitheads are.
And that's good. I like that.
Yes,
And
but
I
they're
told them that.
also becoming increasingly depressed because neither of them has a fucking clue what they're going to do next if they get fired from this job. And
Right.
neither of them wants to go back to the corn farms or wherever the hell it was they're from.
So I asked them, why are you worried about being fired instead of making plans to leave?
I think they both look at you like, what? That was deep.
I'm like, I'm leaving. I said, I can't trust Flex anymore unless something really major happens, to build some trust with me. I am done with Flex. I'm done with Flex anyway. They may not be on my complete bad side if they can somehow make amends for this, but
If they
I'm
kiss
done
my
with them.
ass enough, I won't hate them. I just won't like them.
I said, so my plan is to leave. I said, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I will find a place to go. I said, you stick around with me. I'd love to have y'all at my back,
Wait, you mean you'll take us with you? And they both
hell
kind of look at
yes.
each other like shocked and amazed.
like,
And like
hell
you could
yes.
see, like if it was almost as if they had little energy bars above their heads. I don't know, like any
Like
other
a
game.
brrrr.
Yeah, they both just like peg out. And then all of a sudden one of Ayala looks at the other one's like, 37 minutes, man. 37 minutes. And then Spearman looks back and goes, fuck yes. I really hope it's not ham and beans again.
So they know exactly when dinner comes.
Yeah, they figured it out.
Yeah,
It's not
so-
an exact science. He said 37 minutes. It might be 35. It might be 38. But they've got it narrowed down to within 5 minutes. And And short of anything else they've got going on, like this is like their moment of excitement that every 5 hours there's new food coming, and they love to eat. As dumb, I mean these guys are dumb privates, or I guess for Charles' sake, dumb sailors.
And they enjoy the ham and lima beans.
Yeah, I mean they won't enjoy it, but they'll eat the shit out of it because it's food and it's something different than the last 4 hours and 52 minutes.
So I tell him, I was like, you know what? I said, I haven't been on the ship with y'all very long at all. I said, what little I've read in the after action reports and everything and the interactions around the ship, y'all are always doing what you're supposed to do. Everybody likes to have a little fun. I don't have any problems with that. So, but the second I came on that ship, the very first meeting I had with the captain, I left that meeting a little concerned at that point. I didn't have any reason to be suspicious of anything, although, I knew I was coming in to replace somebody and there had been whatever legal mumbo jumbo going on
Yvonne
here.
Bishop, that was her name. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I
had already
just
taken her off the
clicked
roster.
an hour
so,
later what
yeah.
the pilot's name was. I'm sorry. Please continue.
like-
I totally interrupted.
I'm like, so when other things started to happen and, I went to the XO, to have talks with him about it, everybody had become a little suspicious at that point, but we had almost nothing, So only in the past, I don't know, week or whatever, had we really gotten any kind of proof to ourselves anyway that something was going on. But we had no way of knowing, if the captain of our ship is one of these Empire of Mankind people, is his immediate superior one of them? Is their immediate superior one of them? Is all of Flex actually Empire of Mankind? I have no idea, but I don't want to get in a terrorist boat. So I'm done with them. They can't prove and won't even try to show me or prove or talk to me about it. So I'm done with them 100%. The captain sabotaged our ship, which basically was attempting to kill us all. Only through all of us working together were we able to pull that off and save our lives, only for our very own company who doesn't even have the authority. Got to throw that in there.
Yeah. Let's not forget illegal detention.
Detained us. So as bad as this looks right now, and it could get worse, corporations are known to do some pretty horrific things sometimes. But as bad as it looks, they owe us at this point. Whether they want to admit it to themselves or not, they owe it to us. We saved their ship.
I'm going to stop you right there. And not to be a dick, I'm actually kind of throwing a little bit of a humorous bent to this, but I think what happens is over the course of you explaining and going on and on about all of this, right? I think Buford and Aiello, or excuse me, Spearman Aiello, Buford Aiello and Carl Spearman. But anyway,
Carl Spearman, yeah.
Yeah, I think these two knuckleheads, they become enraptured, enamored. Those have some of the wrong tones, but like they're locked in. Like you've got, like if you were to start your own little cult, you've got your first 2 followers right here.
Well,
like
that's
they're just,
good,
I mean, because so it throughout this entire conversation, they're giving a little bit of feedback here and there, but they quickly become overwhelmed and lost on your recollection of events since Alpha Centauri and their recollection of events since Alpha Centauri. And remember, when they were questioned, they were only questioned mostly about McAvoy and not much else. They don't, the captain compared to these guys is 77 levels of rank and administration above them. They would never see the captain unless they bump into him in the hallway, and then they don't bump into him, they snap to attention and wait. Like he's just so far above. So their experience is significantly different than what you went through. Like these guys are ground pounders, they're riflemen. There's not much more to it in that regard. So when you start talking about like all these reasons why you can't stick around and why you want to leave, they're right there with you because they have no other option in their mind. And you are currently providing a mentor type vibe that Hellwig was doing when it was supposed to have been McAvoy who was trying, but he was just trying to be a hard ass leader.
Right.
So these guys are kind of like looking up to you, like, and they very literally, towards the end of, what you're saying, they kind of just look at each other like, first they're like 12 minutes. And then an hour after that, it's that Western sci-fi show that I like. one named after
Yeah.
the bug that lights up at night. And then they look at you and they're like, whatever you do, we're coming with you. Please be cool
All
with
right.
that.
Well, what I'm getting at here is we're either in a really, really, really bad position and we're all going to be let off somewhere and taken care of,
Which is code for
or,
shot in the back of the head.
right, we're in a really, really good position because what they've done isn't legal. So going through a legal system and suing all of Flex is on the table.
Right.
What they have room to do is offer us an NDA with a big payout for us to leave and keep our mouths shut.
Yeah.
So
Which
2
is
out
the
of 3 of
legal
those
form.
options are great.
Which, by the way, that's legal. That's a legal bribe right there.
Exactly. And
A
I'm
legal,
fine with
not
that.
illegal. A legal bribe. A
Right.
bribe that is
And I-
legal.
And I am 100% fine with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, keep it together. I've had thoughts about doing something to the guard when he comes in here, but honestly, if we kill people, that's going to make our position worse. And if we just capture him, what are we going to do then?
Because then we
So-
got to feed him.
Well, exactly, something.
I
They're going to
think- in
come.
fact, I
They're
think
going to come
Spearman-
for him. Is the deal?
I think Spearman's kind of like, wait a minute, if we tie him up, then
I'm
that
not
means we got to
sharing.
feed him, and I'm not giving up my food. Fuck that guy.
That's right.
And Aiello's just like nodding his head. It's like, yeah, no, fuck that guy.
He can drink out of the toilet.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else that you wanted to do with these two knuckleheads?
No, that's just it. I'm just trying to lift them up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if they're getting depressed in there or what.
Oh, they definitely are. It's
Yeah.
kind of similar to what's going on with Alicia Wyatt. Like they're stuck in this tiny ass room with nothing better to do than to
Yep.
watch the same 3 hours of TV, a little bit of sports, and this one show that Aiello's the only one that really gives a shit about. He calls it that Western that comes on late at night. It's named after some, I can't think of the name, but it's a show that's named after a bug that lights up. I'm trying to make a very indirect reference to another TV show that was definitely Western and sci-fi themed.
Mhm.
Not gonna
Oh,
say
yes.
anything. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
We're not gonna mention anything more than brown coats. Sorry, I needed to
No.
put that plug in there.
So I asked Milliken like what the capability of this cybernetics are, like how well does it record? Like, can you just start to record and then like review the footage like later?
Ooh,
I tell him I don't have a camera, but I can take like optical snapshots.
So like how quickly can you take optical snapshots?
Well, I don't know. It doesn't say.
He
So
can make so you can. I don't know either, but let's give you some sort of limit and say you could probably take something like 256 images, right? And the number may vary based on one image might be slightly more data intrinsic and some may not be. But
Right.
the problem is, of course, is you could try to get like something that would be, I don't know, 24 frames a second, 256 images. If you were to try to compress that into some sort of half-ass video clip, you probably got about, I'm not doing math, guys, 30 seconds or something, maybe. But you won't have sound necessarily either, unless you got some sort of sound recording.
No, what I'm thinking about, we don't need sound. We need to do recon. So someone needs to make a dash out the door to look down the hallway. And out of all of us, Mulligan probably has the best chance to gain the most information because he doesn't have to be conscious of it.
So
He
here's
doesn't have to
something
have his
else.
eyes open, though.
Right. Here's a different angle we could take on this.
Okay.
I'm sure somewhere in my room is a camera. Okay. The bugs that I found so far, I think were all just audio bugs. But definitely somewhere in my room, there's a camera.
Probably.
If I can find that camera, rip it out, harvest some wires off of something in here, would it be possible for me to attach that camera to my neural link port?
Wow, we're really
Like
stretching
an
here.
AV port. I mean, like, so, like us two, like, Aaliyah and George can probably like, if you could find, if one of us finds an actual camera, we could probably rig it up to like use the now disused television monitor and just kind of like stick it out the door and see what it sees.
Wow. Okay. All right, I'm gonna kind of. Normally, I wouldn't do this, and there's a
the rooms we've established the rooms are mostly identical. So if he
Yeah.
finds where the camera is in his room, therefore there should be a camera in a proximate
Well-
location in our room.
theoretically yes. Let me suggest we go to the next scene.
Okay.
If we go to the next scene, you'll see why some of this is not necessarily necessary.
That's cool.
And keep in mind, normally I'm like cool with like letting the players try to come up with stuff, but the next scene will supersede that. If you want to go ahead and move to the next scene, or we could try to explore this and see how long until I say no, fuck that, we're going to the next scene.
I mean, if the next scene is
You
going to be pretty soon anyway, then
It
just
will
say
be,
that much
yeah.
time. That much time has passed, and this is where we are, and just go forward. With
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
don't
before
get me
we can
wrong. Like
actually act.
you can try to jury rig some sort of recording device or remote viewing
No,
device if you want.
It wouldn't be able to record because we don't have any hardware or anything
No,
like
that
that.
you're
but-
right. You're right. So yeah,
I can if I can hook it to my
if you can plug it
tether
into your
though.
yeah. Okay. Well, in the time it takes you to do that, eventually you're just like, okay, I'm getting stuck here. Let me sleep on it. You know, for all you know, the next morning will be no different than this morning. So you'll have
Right.
plenty of time once you wake up in the morning. Well, the
That's cool.
difference is when you wake up in the morning, probably around. So you get your breakfast. Let's just say you get breakfast around 8. Okay. The door will lock. You guys will spend a few minutes eating, and then somewhere around 9, as you continue to fiddle with various wires, and this applies to all three of you. All of the doors to your suites will make a loud click, and the doors will actually pop open slightly.
Are we up and then like had breakfast when this all happens?
Yeah. Everybody's
that's
awake.
right after
Breakfast.
breakfast.
Has been served.
Okay,
It sounds so weird to
I'm
say
just gonna kind of like pop up from the couch and look at that and go, look over at Gray and just go. I didn't touch anything. Did you touch anything? You touched something, didn't you?
Grace gonna be like, I know. I was eating this styrofoam thing that's supposed to be a hash brown patty.
Oh, yeah. I just been flushing them down the toilet. I'm not even eating them. Okay.
Well, no
And
wonder the
I'm
toilet
gonna-
doesn't work,
Yeah.
It would have clogged it up either way.
right?
I'm gonna.
By the way, for the record, I'm totally thinking of a very unique or very specific fast food joint in their hash browns, which, by the way, they're delicious. But I can't stand how the paper keeps getting stuck to the hash brown. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Anyhow, I'm gonna kind of tactily walk to the door, and
Tactically walk. I'm sorry. I just the fact that what happened is my head, like you hold up your hands and like the Weaver stance, you make little finger guns, and then you shimmy over to the door.
Yep. I'm gonna just kind of like walk up to that and look at the door jam, look around, and I'm just gonna stick my head outside and hang on, I'm gonna do a recon.
Oh, are you actually
Which-
gonna roll? Let me alt
I'm
tab back
gonna-
over.
Yep. So I got a recon. I'm gonna look out because I'm not gonna jump out there and like be shot or
I
be
am.
tased.
Sure.
Don't tease me.
Don't tease me, bro. Insert
All right.
MSG ambient music.
Yeah.
Why
So
do
I'm gonna
more
kinda
importantly, why do I hear boss music all of a sudden?
yeah.
Hey, whoa! Hey! You can't put us in a boss room until there's a room with a bunch of guns in it.
Well, yeah. I shifted from the nice happy music to the upbeat scary music.
Yeah.
All right. So
5,
I got a
6.
6.
All right. So the first thing you'll notice is the hallway appears to be devoid of anybody in it.
Okay.
There is a shit. How did I describe it in my notes? There's sufficient light in the hallway, so it's not like you can't see. It's not dark or whatever. There
Right.
is a line of faintly blue light pulsing slightly along the walls, and it appears to be suggesting that you head on down the hallway and around a corner.
Head
All right.
on.
Ambush! I mean, no, I'm just kidding. Don't listen. to me.
Yeah.
Don't
yeah.
listen to me. I just realized as the GM, I should not have said that. That just sets the players completely off edge. but also an
first
asshole.
I'm gonna look for a cardboard box. No,
No,
No, I'm gonna.
get the bed sheet, cut out 2 eye holes in it, and use that.
Oh yeah.
Jesus
Yeah, there you
Christ.
go. There you go. And all I'm gonna do is go. All I got was a rock. I'm gonna grab Gray. I'm gonna say, okay, just stay with me.
He's gonna use Gray as a meat shield. I'm sorry. Please
Yeah.
continue. Don't listen to me.
Yeah. I'm just gonna grab Gray. I said, just stay with me. I don't know what's going on, but if the door's open, we're gonna beat feet out of here. Let's go. And I'm just gonna slowly walk out and keep looking around. Make sure that I'm not gonna be surprised by something.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you there.
Yep.
I'm gonna move to the Wyatts. Wyatts, the doors have clicked and popped open.
Right, what was that? No, get off me. No. You must stare it over. What was that?
The locks on the doors have clicked and the doors have popped open slightly.
I bravely go over and take a peek. Also using recon.
Okay. We see what you roll.
This is a +2. Let's go, baby.
Nice.
Fuck yeah, I got a 12.
You see the same
My
thing?
eyes actually work.
Well, shut up.
So you see the same thing. The hallway is pretty much clear. You do see people starting to poke their heads out. You recognize them as fellow crewmates. The sufficient lighting in the hallway, and there is on both sides of the hallway is a faint blue line of light. So basically, it's like trim lighting, I guess, is the best way, or lighting like on an aircraft, where they tell you, if in case of emergency, follow the lights, that sort of thing. And again, it does suggest that you go down the hallway and around a corner. It's kind of like it's leading you in that direction, and everybody else is starting to get that same. Same answer.
I tell my wife to empty the bed case, the pillowcases, and to fill them in with kind of anything heavy to fit in there for a makeshift blackjack.
There you go. Fuck yeah. Get the bar soap out of the bathroom. Let's go. Let's fuck somebody up.
I mean, it's better than nothing.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. If I gotta throw a fist, man, like give me a weapon of some sort. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Milligan, same question, my friend. A click gonna pop.
So when that happens, I just look at Aiello and Spearman,
Well,
I say,
I think Aiello is sitting. Let's say he's sitting like on the couch, and as soon as it goes off, he's like combat rolling onto the floor and into a kneeling shooting stance, and then realizing, of course, he doesn't have a weapon, and he's like, "The fuck was that, man? The fuck did you do?" And he's looking dead at Carl. He's like, "I know you did something," and Carl's just like, "Oh man, I was just sitting here minding my own business, staring at the dots in the ceiling."
So I'm like, I just say with me, and I just stride right out of the room into the hallway.
As soon as you say with me, these fuckers like snap to as if you had said attention, right? And they're right there next to you. Like there's a little bit of separation. They're not all up in your hip pocket or nothing,
right?
But they're right there with you.
And I'm making sure I'm in front. I don't want to put them in front. I'm making sure I'm in front. And so I go out, and as I get into the hallway and notice other doors open, if there's still doors that are just partly ajar, I'm opening them, seeing if anybody's in there. If I spot the XO, I send the troopers to help because I don't want his wife having to support him.
Oh yeah, I think Aiello and Spearman won't they'll see the XO, but they won't realize it because of the low gravity upbringing. They won't realize it until you say something. But it's the minute you do, they're on it. They're over there. Each one of them got the XO's. Each one of them has one of the XO's arms over their shoulders. Alicia doesn't even have to do anything at this point. Now I do have one question. As a group, are you guys gonna follow the lights?
Yes, but
yes, but I love it. I love it. Yes, but
the first thing I'm gonna do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this can't be a trap, right? This is too.
It doesn't need to be a trap.
No, I this is a jailbreak of some sort. I mean, if they just want to shoot us, they could just shoot us.
Or they're trying to absolve themselves of everything and just letting us go, thinking we're just going to walk away. and that's not going to happen.
See, this is what I
Um,
love when I describe a scene and then let the players figure shit out on their own, because now you're not sure if this is an ambush waiting, if you're going to
No,
be
it's
free to
not.
go, or if it's going to be something in between.
Yeah, there's no need for there to be an ambush. They could
Are
have come
you
into our
sure?
room at night.
Are
Yeah,
you
they could have come
sure?
into our room at.
Because now I
I'm
can come
pretty
up and
sure.
shoot you and be like, nah, he tried to run away. That's why I had to shoot.
They didn't have to shoot
Yeah,
us. All they had to
but
do
they're
is poison our
illegally
food.
holding us, though. That's still murder. You're
Well,
not allowed
exactly.
to kill you're not allowed to kill the people you're holding hostage. That's still murder.
Or they're also not
No,
allowed to hold us hostage. So
Exactly. No, I'm abstained from killing the person I kidnapped. They tried running away.
Right. So when I see that there's no other personnel on the other side here, I'm going to very loudly say, there's still negotiations that have to be finished.
And I think as you say that, I think everybody's starting to come together. We've got
Right now.
yeah.
Did
Okay.
Hurst make it down here, or did she get separated from us?
Are you talking about which troop?
Latoya,
The troop
the
commander?
LT.
No,
Yeah.
she did not.
She didn't
In
come with
fact,
us.
yeah. So let me explain what's happening here. So all of you. So we've got Hellwig and Paul Gray. We've got the two Wyatts. We've got Milligan, Spearman, and Aiello. There's also, as you guys are like, all right, well, I guess we'll just follow the lights because it's not, like, it wouldn't make sense for them to shoot us now. They've had plenty of time to do it. You also realize that Jarvis Tillman, and this is somebody that Hellwig probably would have interacted with a few times because he also would have reported indirectly to the chief of the boat. He's the junior steward. So there was, God, I have the roster here. Let me pull it up real quick so I can make sure I get the names right. Oh, I was right. Levon Broyles was the chief steward, and then Jarvis Tillman was like his assistant, so to speak. Jarvis Tillman is down here, as well as Marshall Tran, the ship's navigator, and Kirsty Blaine, the ship's troop that was selected to replace McAvoy once he was killed. And so you guys are all kind of like, if you follow all the lights, you end up in basically what it appears to be is a large break room. There are snacks lined up on the countertops. There's a couple of microwaves. There's a vending machine selling soda and other different beverages, non-alcoholic, I should say. And there's a refrigerator, and inside that refrigerator and freezer are different meat-based products that can easily be heated up in the microwave. You know, like roast beef sandwiches, different burgers, chicken patties, chicken nuggets, burritos, whatever. Basically, it's a well-stocked break room. And from what you can tell, it's all of you guys plus Jarvis Tillman, Marshall Tran, and Kirsty Blaine that has been brought in down from the station with you guys. And to the best of your ability to tell, that appears to be everybody from the ship.
So me being as paranoid as I usually am, I'm going to say nobody eat anything in here. I know you want it and you deserve it. I said, but this is an awfully easy room to clean.
So have we found like an elevator or a way to go up yet, or are we just like still on the same floor?
Everybody, you're still on the same floor. If you choose to stay in the break room, let me rephrase that. So if you were following the lights lead you into the break room. If you were to attempt to go anywhere else, doors are locked. So for instance, you probably would find an elevator, but it doesn't respond to any sort of button pushing, banging on the doors, or anything of that nature.
Oh, nice.
So after the troopers get Wyatt situated in a chair or whatever, in
They
this break
immediately
room,
go for the snacks. I'm going to tell you that right now. These are
even
soldiers.
though I said that,
yeah. They kind of look at you like, listen, you got a point, but you're also right. Like, if they wanted to kill us, they would have done it already. That granola bar looks pretty damn tasty, considering we've been eating nothing but ham, lima beans, and rice.
and I'm like, I get it, but how hard is it to clean a hotel room when you've shot 3 people, as opposed to
too
picking
late.
them
Like,
off the floor after you poison them?
I feel like Spearman has given you, like, the evil eye as best as any sort of, like... So I always pictured Spearman as, like, the pale-skinned ginger, right? And I think he's just trying to give you the evil eye as best as he can as he opens up a granola bar and puts like half of it into his mouth before he takes a
I'm
bite.
like, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, he's like that. What are you gonna
That's
do? Take
After
it
you
out of my
grab your
mouth?
snacks, yes. After you grab your snacks, would y'all please post up outside this door and let us know if it's somebody's coming?
I guess Halo and Spearman are just like, all right, bet, but I'm gonna nuke a burrito first because that thing looks pretty damn tasty. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at IO and Spearman and just shake my head and say we're gonna have a conversation after this.
I think they just don't care. Like these guys.
It's not even it's not even about them not listening to the pilot. It's more along the lines of like I need to know what they need to know.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
but we have more,
We're like,
more
all right, yeah,
interesting.
we could definitely talk later. But listen, you're between me and a burrito right now.
Yeah.
Well, I have a
And-
quick question.
Yeah.
Is there anything in this break room with any kind of logo or print or anything else? Like a coffee cups or whatever?
Yeah, no, the only branding you see is what you would expect associated with like the vending machine or the microwave itself, like the actual company that makes the microwave, Samsung or something. I don't. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, not Samsung. It'd be like Samsung. I don't know. I'm making shit up. But yeah, no, there's nothing that clearly indicates as to like what kind of facility you're in or anything like that.
I'm not even talking about that necessary. I'm
Coffee
talking,
cup,
is there
best kid
anything in
ever.
here?
Oh my god.
Is there anything in here that might
Yeah.
qualify as a souvenir?
Ah!
That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking for.
My follow question is: do these vending machines have service by stickers?
Oh, I mean, probably some sort of installation inspection requirement would mandate something like that, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
that is identifying information
yeah,
to where we are,
yeah,
and the only way we can have it is if we were here.
yeah. I think it would be excuse me. I think it would be some sort of service by, I don't know.
Human traffickers.
HumanTraffickers.com. No, that's not it at all.
All it's gonna be stamped by is it's gonna say service number,
Yeah, or
XYZ.
it's somebody's initials, probably.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it says Flex maintenance team. That's it.
Yeah, and it may not even be that.
That'd
It'd
work.
probably be like some sort of local contract that would come in and
Yeah.
do stuff like that. And even
Well,
if it
you're
was,
taking this to a much higher level than I was thinking of. I was just trying to give something to the troopers.
fucking
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Australians. Oh my god, Australians! I missed this until just now. 5 minutes after eating that granola bar, a chest bursts out of Spearman's chest. Oh man, come on! They don't gestate that fast. Come on, takes a day or two at least. Anyways,
The other question I have is if so in real life elevators have emergency access keys. So that way the EMT and firefighters can make use of elevators during emergencies.
they have a keyhole. Usually,
Yeah.
the emergency people have the key.
Yeah. No, that's fine. If it has a keyhole, then it has something that can be picked.
Arguably, but you can't get inside the elevator because the doors haven't opened yet.
That's
So
what the keyhole does.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. I'm thinking of inside the elevator car. You're talking on the door, on the wall. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not always.
In
Not
real
always.
life, no, but in real life, most building codes do require the EMT keyhole thing to where to get into it.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, but
some sort of
that's
emergency
only
access.
at the start. That's only at certain spots, like the ground floor or something like that. So like if we're below,
that's a fair point too, because it would be most likely on the ground floor. Ground floor, and probably in like the main elevator that services the entire building or what have you. There's a hat on top of the machine. Looks like a 5-gallon one. House it says. All right.
Plus, at
so,
best, we would have improvised tools to try to pick something like that, right?
yeah. Once again, you're slightly better than plastic spoon and fork. So at this point, basically, so you guys have put Aiello and Spearman on guard duty, so to speak.
Yep. And I'm gonna go out there with them after we finish talking in here. So
Okay. So basically, GM to players, this is an opportunity for you guys to run the scene for a moment. Basically, for you, the players, and your characters to interact with the other NPCs and each other to kind of get everybody caught up and on the same page, as it were.
Right.
with everything that's going on.
So I'm gonna pull the XO aside and just run them through everything me and Gray talked about for like the last day and a half or whatever time that was between about the XO being fired, that the skipper stuck around, the shenanigans of the books, and what our assumptions are, and that he has a contact that may have a ship if we can get out of here to get us off world and maybe get us some of that relief.
And I think when you're explaining all that, Gray comes over and kind of leans in a little bit and is like, "Yeah." In fact, I actually have it in my notes right here that's one thing that Paul Gray would be doing right now, is that he's going to be pushing the whole Iron Mike Tankerson angle. That if you guys can get out of here, and assuming that you guys would let Gray accompany you, that he might have a hookup if he could just get a hold of Tankerson or somebody from his office.
Yeah, and then I'm going to turn around and whichever one of the two chuckleheads comes back inside, I'm going to grab him and pull him off to the side and say, "Okay, I saw you guys with the bumps and the bruises. What happened? What you guys do?" And get the debrief. Right?
So you get Aiello.
Yeah.
And when you ask him about what in the hell happened to him and Spearman and why they were all muffed up and nobody else was, he's like, "You remember when they came on the ship and they took us off the ship and they tried to put us all into our own personal, well, let's just call it what it was, prison cell, even though it wasn't a prison cell, it was basically a prison cell." Yeah. Spearman and I were not going. We were not down with that.
Okay.
And well, I honestly, at this point, it's been a few days. I don't remember if it was me. I don't remember if it was him. I don't remember if it was them. One of us threw a punch. Then there were a bunch more punches. I got a black eye. He got a bruised cheek, or vice versa, because I can't remember who had what from last week. But yeah, basically they got into a bit of a scuffle, and then they were separated, and that was
all right. And then I'm going to ask them what do they ask you about? What do you know about? And all sort of stuff.
So
during the questioning.
Yeah, so Spearman and Aiello, when they were interviewed, I almost said interrogated. Technically, it was an interview.
Right.
When they were, yeah, I know. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I know. When they were interviewed, both of them were basically asked the McAvoy questions. I have a better way to summarize. They were asked about McAvoy, his connection with August Blood, the connection with McAvoy's true past, and also who put the hit out on McAvoy. Of course, neither of these knuckleheads know anything about McAvoy prior to him coming aboard the ship a month or two ago.
Right.
In fact, if anything, they actually kind of wanted to defend him because of the fact that he took over their fire team and tried to get these guys, like, not just in shape physically, but like fighting trim all across the board. So they actually kind of look up to him a little bit.
Okay. So I'll run them through a summary of the questions they asked us, and that I applaud them for doing what they needed to do. Just it's always good to resist. Do it up to the point where it's not like
they didn't do it to resist. They did it because they didn't want to be separated from each other. These two have this stupid bond.
And I'm gonna if Aiello tells you that, I'm just gonna cock my head, look at him for a second, take a deep breath, and blink twice, and go, "All right.
Hey, it's the egalitarian gay space feature. It's okay.
It's not even that. It's as much as it's just like, dude, it's not even the gayness of it or anything else. It's more along the lines of like, dude, it's okay to have a battle buddy, but sometimes you need to have space.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was too. So, a little bit above board as far as these two knuckleheads, and some of this your characters may have picked up by now, and if not, they will over the course of time. These two are both from really small towns. They joined Flex because they just wanted to get out. They knew if they stayed, nothing good was going to happen because their entire families are, not necessarily broken or destitute or in jail or dead or anything like that, but like they're just not going to go anywhere. And they know there's a lot more to life than that. So they both ended up joining up Flex for the adventure to get to shoot guns. Like, this is stereotypical new high school graduate with nothing better to do joins the army and lives a
Yep.
great life.
Yep.
In the flex version of basic training, these guys bonded over that small town, us against the world, because nobody else understands what these small town philosophies, for lack of a better thing to call it. And I'm not trying to allude to, try that in a small town or anything like that, but just that mentality, they just bonded. And over the course of the last, roughly a year in Flex Basic and then several months on the ship, like they've just been inseparable. They're brothers
Right.
at this point. They were
Yeah,
roommates on the
ride or
ship.
die types.
Yeah, exactly. That's really what they are. They will easily go to bat for each other, and they will easily beat the shit out of each other because that's what brothers do.
Right. So I'm just gonna like, okay, all right. Now that I got the idea what's going on, great. So and I lay out that there might be some options for going out of this. I like that some of their initiative, working with them. Though I make a snide comment about, do we really need to pick up every last coffee cup in the universe? Every
No,
last
I think
piece.
Aiello just kind of looks at you, and he kind of has that like, not so much a stern look, but kind of like a listen.
Yeah.
We're gonna get one of everything if we can get one of everything. Sometimes we have to make a hard choice. Sometimes that hard choice is the difference between a coffee cup or a keychain. We're gonna get something from everywhere. There's no question here.
And I'm just gonna look at him and go, okay, one of it. Whatever.
This
It's
is
your
our
money.
life's goal at this point.
I'm just gonna like, it's your money. I'm not gonna critique you. It's just okay. Whatever. and then I'm gonna go, okay, tell your brother from another
His
mother.
brother. That's so
from-
funny, but it's so true. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Right.
please.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell him everything I just talked about. That we're gonna potentially have a patron. If he wants to hang around with us, I'd be more than willing to have him with us and join my team. Their efforts both with the squad bay or the vehicle bay and everything else. And
I think Spearman kind of leans in for because I imagine you're not like I said, large break room. This is not large in the cavernous style, but large is in larger than your typical break room. So I think Spearman standing by the door is going to hear you say that, and he's gonna be like, no, we're going with him. And they point to Milligan.
And I'm like, he's going with us.
Okay, never mind. We're good then. And he'll go back to standing outside.
And if I hear that, I just do a thumbs up.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna we'll just roll with the collecting of one of everything, but I just rub my eyes and just go the pain.
I just give Hedwig the little the hand across the throat thing, like no, just
let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Let it be.
At that point, I find the lead of our ship's troopers. And I give her the lowdown of what we talked about, and again, same conversation, and say, hey, I'm trying to reform. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I feel like we're all going to bail on Flex, because I don't want to be here anymore. This place feels more corrupt than a standard colonial police outpost. But I'd like to have you. Your leadership skills are awesome since what's his face dropped
McAvoy.
off the McAvoy. Yeah. Well, no, and I'm gonna even say it like what's his face, because I just completely forgotten about it. And if she says McAvoy,
Okay,
I'm not gonna go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, McAvoy, yeah, the space pirate. And I'm gonna lay into her about everything I knew about his background to her, from my end.
I think she'll actually look at you and be like, motherfucker, yet another person that says this shit about McAvoy. So I think she has a different perspective of McAvoy than the other two knuckleheads, and I think it's more like she recognizes what he was attempting to do, but she disagreed with his methodology.
Right.
And she didn't really like him at all.
Yeah. So I mean, and my character would have been I understood what he was trying to do, which was basically like, hey, we have a capable quick reaction force, a capable ship's troopers. But his whole hey, do push-ups until I'm tired, hey, go put on all your winter gear and your vac suit and start doing sit-ups.
Jesus Christ, I'm having flashbacks. Fuck you, Charles. Go get all your shit on. You have 10 minutes. Now go put all your other shit on. You have 15.
Yeah, and then start doing sit-ups until I count to 100.
Yeah.
by halves.
Yeah, so I think when she ends up over the course of your conversation with her, you get the impression that she didn't look up to McAvoy anywhere near as much as the other two.
Yeah.
She did follow orders, and she is a decent enough soldier or ship's trooper, whatever you want to call her. When she got her little brevet promotion,
Yep.
she actually kind of wanted to turn it down, but realized that it was either that or the potential of some other knucklehead that may not be as good. And she actually kind of likes Aiello and Spearman, and not
Right.
so much likes them like not in the same vein as like looking up and respecting them, but more of like looking out for them because if I don't, nobody else will. And these two knuckleheads, they're good at one thing, shooting, and not
Yeah.
much else.
Well, and I'll look at her and if we talk about that, I'm gonna say, yeah, same thing. I recognize their work ethic and everything else. Do they need professional help with everything? From buying a car to being out in the bars? Yes, but
yes, because those are real things that they've not had to do on their own yet. They're
yeah,
22 or thereabouts, and these
yeah,
are real life experiences that they have no idea on how to go about. Had they stayed home, they would have figured it out. It might not have been the right answer, but they would have figured out an answer. And now that they're out here in the universe,
yep,
if you're not watching, these are the guys that go and get the 27% APR for the Mustang, you
yeah.
know,
It's like 10
because
years old.
nobody tells them that they shouldn't do that.
Yeah,
You know?
and it's a 20-year-old car.
Yeah.
But their take-home pay doesn't have any taxes on it. That's exactly how it's going to be once they're out of the army.
That's exactly what the salesman said. Look at all the money you're making. You can easily afford this 27% APR 2023 Mustang.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Yeah,
So,
anyhow.
The other thing she brings up too over the course of your conversation is that again, when she was interviewed, she was, and she used the words, she was nauseatingly questioned about McAvoy. Like it
Mhm.
made her skin crawl that they kept talking so much about her, or excuse me, about him.
Right.
And they kept driving it almost in circles about his connections, his past, his death, August Blood. And she's like, first off, I don't even know what August Blood is. If McAvoy was in any way connected to that group, she knew nothing about it. She barely understood that August Blood, and this is as a reminder for all the players and viewers, is that August Blood is a low-level mercenary outfit that has been known to literally take any contract just so they can get paid, and they have no qualms with what the requirements of that contract are.
Yep.
Specifically, more on the illegal side than the legal side. She is also learning through both your conversation and the interviews that she's been having that basically McAvoy was a horrible person, but also that Flex apparently knew that he was a horrible person, and they not only let him in, but they also put him in a leadership position, albeit a junior one. And that has really soured her own experience as being a member of Flex.
Yep.
So I think at this point, what she's feeling is that when you guys, everybody's talking about, what you're going to do next after this because fuck Flex or variations on that theme, she's kind of like, yeah, I'm definitely going to be going somewhere else. I don't know where yet. I don't think I'm sticking around either.
Right.
In fact, very similar to Milligan, except his is more about the corruption side, and hers is more like questioning the whole. Oh God, what's the word I'm looking for here? Questioning the whole legitimacy of their hiring and vetting process.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll
exactly.
speak when she says that, I'll be like, yeah, and our
Yeah,
captain was
duh.
one of the Empire Mankind people. You think they really didn't know that either?
Hey, bro, how you doing? Yeah, no, it's definitely like she's like, yeah, this whole Flex thing is like, Jesus Christ, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but if the ship's going down, I'm getting a lifeboat.
Yep. And I'm going to extend the handout that say, hey, we're bringing our two chuckleheads. This guy,
Let's
this
make
guy.
it 3 chuckleheads.
That's
Yeah,
right.
let's just bring the band back together.
Yeah, so when the conversation turns to that, Wyatt, even though it will be difficult for him, he'll stand on a table in order to make a big damn speech.
Oh, okay, here we go. Come on, EXO, let's see what you got.
Quiet, everyone. Quiet. Eyes on me, please. Quiet. Thank you.
I believe the spacer term would be eyes and ears, people. I'm sorry. Please continue.
Yeah, but I'm not Wyatt's not a Navy guy, so that's not his vocabulary.
That's fair. That's fair.
Hi, I'm George Wyatt. I'm no longer your executive officer. I no longer have authority over you, but I still feel like I have an obligation to you. For circumstances beyond our control and understanding, we've been put forth in a dangerous, possibly life-threatening situation. I still want to help everyone get out. I still want to see everyone does well. If you're willing to follow me, I'll do my best to lead and direct us to get out of this situation. And I hope my term aboard the Wayfinder has shown that I do care about this crew, and I am capable of leading us forward. I don't have all the facts available to us. Flex is definitely non-goddess to me and my wife, who you may know as the chief engineer aboard the Wayfinder. That might be a surprise to some people. They just never connect the dots.
Yeah, I feel like there might be a couple, but I think mostly, at least within this group, I feel like the ship's troops probably would have been indifferent. The three of them, if they hadn't already put it together, or somebody had told them. The navigator probably would have known. He would be on the bridge as often as anybody else, so he would have been like, "Yeah, I knew." And then Tillman, being the steward, I feel like maybe he would know, but just wouldn't care. It'd be outside of his wheelhouse in a way.
Yeah. And we're gonna get out of this through hell or high water. We are probably gonna literally burn this building to the ground in order to force a rescue for us. Our first objective is to go up because we are underground. So let's get solving that situation first. The elevator doesn't work. Let's see if we can find the fire stairs.
I think it's about. I'm gonna cut in here just because you're getting ready to try to to literally set the world on fire here, and I love the fire.
Right, I am.
Yeah, I love the fire idea.
That's happening.
Oh yeah. Well, let me. I hate to keep doing this to you, Wiggles, but I gotta intervene here because I think it's about this time that let me refresh my notes. I'm sorry. A pair of armed and armored guards actually arrive. I think we get a moment where Spearman's like, I really, really want to take that rifle and shove it down his throat, but he knows he's not going to get very far because he has nothing and they're armed and armored. The guards, Spearman will pop back inside and be like, hey, a couple people coming. And before anybody really gets much of an opportunity, achievement unlock, arson. Before anybody really gets a whole lot of a chance to do anything, the guards will come in, they will step inside the room and then take either side of the door, on the inside of the room, of course, and then passing between them is the Admiral's Chief of Staff, Captain Teresa Heppenheimer. As she arrives, she will promptly dismiss them from the room, and she will pull her sidearm out of the holster and pass it to the guards. And then as she's
our guards
to the guards that came with her.
Right, I get it.
Yeah. And then she will she'll then remove her jacket. So this is like a I'm trying to think. So like obviously they would normally be wearing a skin suit, but now she's on the grounds. So she Charles knows what I'm talking about when I say something like BDU top or whatever. But basically she's taking off the top outer coat of her uniform.
Yeah.
So now she's basically standing there, with her pants and then like a t-shirt or something to that effect. But effectively what she's done is she's removed her rank.
A quick point of clarification here. Is this the same lady that was in the interviews?
Yes.
Or is this somebody else?
Yeah, this is the same one.
All right, okay.
And then assuming nobody interrupts her, she will then pull a could really only be described as a bug from the pocket of her pant leg. And she will squash it. And when I say bug, I'm obviously not talking about an actual insect. This will be a listening device of some sort, and she will very simply squish it. Her approach or demeanor is very much dead serious. But there are certain lines or other body language indicators that there's a certain amount of sympathy to a certain extent anyway. Like she kind of like understands and knows what kind of situation you everybody is in. Uh she has a tablet in one hand, of course. But other than that, she will start and I've got a little thing I want to read and then after that we can continue from there.
And
Um
scene.
sorry, somebody said something. Oh,
I said
cuts.
end scene.
Yeah, and scene, yeah. And she says, I am so sorry that it has come to this, she says, a bit quietly at first. But then she catches herself, and her years of leadership and discipline kick in. Effective 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, local. Every one of you will effectively be terminated from Flex. You have been, or rather will be in the next few days, separated from Flex on the grounds of collusion with a known enemy agent or force. We do not, at this time, have sufficient evidence of wrongdoing to hand you over to the local or interstellar authorities, but we do have sufficient cause to remove you from our ranks. Over the next couple of days, you will be out processed from the company. Your personal property that is clearly not ours will be returned to you, and a severance check will be issued to you as well as any other final pays and entitlements you may have earned. The ship's logs and accounts and other related assets are presently still frozen, and therefore, any shares of its profits are currently not available to you. Should that change in the future, we will endeavor to ensure you receive your fair share of any entitlement or payout. Following this meeting, you'll be escorted back to your rooms for the evening, and in the morning, you'll be transported to Aliceport for final out processing. Housing and food will be provided to you at our expense until that process is complete. I will now allow you to ask me questions. I will answer them to the best of my ability. I have to warn you that some of the questions I feel like you are going to ask me, I am not allowed to answer. But please.
So, while she's saying the collusion thing, I'm just gonna cough loudly with the sit and do some other just eye rolling and snark and yeah. But then otherwise, I'm gonna look at her and go, so why'd you lock us in? And evidently there was no trials. I think there was a kangaroo court already decided, and leave it up to the XO and Milligan to carry the scene.
I think what
All
she'll
right.
do before that is I think she'll kind of address Hellwig in particular. And I want to be clear. She's being dead serious, and there's a
Yeah.
certain amount of sternness, but I think anybody that's paying enough of attention in an open-minded sort of way will detect certain amounts of sympathetic empathy.
Mhm.
Empathy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like she understands that you guys have been dealt a shitty hand, and she's the one bringing it to you.
Right.
But she also has a duty, an obligation to carry out her lawfully assigned orders, or at least as she views them, they're lawful.
Right.
So when you bring up, I forget exactly what you just said, but when you bring it up, she. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I basically brought up the fact that hey, it was a kangaroo court. You guys already made your mind up. The interview process was just to make sure that there was no other illegalities that we did, and
Check the blocks,
my
sort of thing.
my checking the blocks and all that stuff. My character, having dealt with corrupt police forces before, just realizes, I'm being let go or being set up, and there's probably gonna be a black mark for anything else. I can't really join anything legitimate anymore with this mark on my resume. So I'm kind of scowling because here was a chance for me to travel and do space stuff and blah blah blah, and I'm just like, you can talk, and all I have is the arms crossed, the whole passive aggressive attitude of like, screw this noise.
Yeah, and I think what she says to that is like, Mr. Hellwig, I could definitely and totally understand the position that you feel you are in. I can tell you this much. You use the words kangaroo court, and perhaps in your perspective, you might be right. Perhaps in a neutral standpoint, you could be right. I will tell you this. The questions that we asked were meant to fill in gaps of a larger image that we have not yet been able to compile. On one hand, we feel that there were certain, I'm trying to think of the right word here. There were certain illegalities that you are either part of or involved in, but we don't have enough evidence to hold you, to push it, or to transfer it to the local or interstellar authorities, as I said. Therefore, our only recourse at this point is to simply absolve you of connections with Flex. Now, what sort of impediment that might put on you in future employment with anybody else, I can't speak for that. Certainly, to some extent, there will be some hindrance. There's not much we can do to prevent that. At
Oh,
the
but
end,
there is. I
I love
interject.
it. I love it. I knew somebody was going to cut in. And I think
Right.
immediately when you say that, I think she just kind of turns her head to you. On one hand, you're right. In theory, we could. We could clear it all up. Just write it off like it never happened. Is that what you're looking for, Mr. Milligan? Because I'm going to tell you right now, that's not going to happen. Not even close.
Okay, well, then let's talk about what will happen.
What will happen, as I briefed you already, is that at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, everybody will be transported to Aliceport for out processing from the company. You will receive your personal property, as well as severance and final pays, and you'll be on
Right.
your
How much
merry way.
severance?
Right.
What is the severance amount?
10,000 Libra each.
Okay. That is an insult to what we've been through when we are blameless and you are still labeling us. What has been done by Flex was illegal. We have been unlawfully detained. You have two options. Flex has two options.
I've been denied health care for my medical needs.
Flex
And I'm
has
gonna
two
point over. I'm gonna
options.
point over to my chuckleheads and go, "Their personal goods were stolen by your people." And his foam finger. He wants his foam finger back.
Yeah, he really did want that number one finger back.
And I'm just gonna like stomp off and go find a granola bar or a burrito and just like angrily munch on it.
He's not going to say shit. He's going to throw it in the microwave, and 1 minute later, that microwave is going to be loud as fuck.
We can beep it.
So I say there's two options here.
Go ahead, Mr.
We know
Milligan,
what
are they?
happened. We know what's happened to us. We have plenty of witnesses as to what happened to us illegal by Flex. So there's two options. One, y'all draw up an NDA with a very substantial cash attachment for us to not pursue this through legal channels. I will give up my right to pursue this through legal channels with a big enough payout from Flex. The other option is we pool our monies and we get us the best lawyer available, and we are going to sue the shit out of Flex, and a bunch of people are going to jail.
All right. At that point, he says this. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna like freeze up for a second, like I'm reading something straight off, and I'm gonna pull an advocate here on you with my education. So a 9.
Okay.
And I'm gonna read spacer code. Blah 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 blah. If found that the captain does illegalities and the company's gonna terminate me. Blah 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 blah. It's not our fault, but we can be. And I'm going to cite some BS code or space code or space law, a court case that set precedents, per bullshit and bullshit.
For bullshit versus dumb shit.
Yeah. We can be signed to an NDA and we can be given the equivalency of our shares as we stopped right here, right now, not just the severance pay.
I think
And hazard pay for stopping the ship from crashing into the planet.
Exactly. For saving the Wayfinder, which honestly, technically, I guess maybe we kind of salvaged.
You're gonna throw the salvage rights option out, huh?
Right, and I'm gonna start reading the international or the interstellar salvage right.
International law for salvage.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yep.
Yep, I hear you.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's hilarious. All right, so yeah, Oppenheimer is just gonna give you a cold stare, and she's gonna be like, actually no, I take that back. I think she's gonna give you a look. It's gonna be a little stern. She's gonna take a breath because she's gonna realize that on one hand there are certain things that you're saying that are absolutely correct, And there's a
Mhm.
few others that you're saying that you feel are absolutely correct, but are not necessarily because you're working
Yeah,
with partial information.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's other
like
things that she's like, no, that's absolutely not going to happen. But she's also trying to be empathetic to
yeah.
your situation. But
When exactly is Flex making us non gratis to the company? Do you have an hour to that effect, or do you just have a day? Because if it's when the ship was sabotaged and became non-personnel of the Flex, when that happened, then we saved an in-distress ship that had no crew aboard.
let me get to that one in a second. Well, let me forget the question that you're asking.
I think that's really good bullshitting on my part, personally.
No, that's a great question, and she's gonna have an answer. But I want to answer Milligan's question first.
Okay.
And effectively,
After
so
that
basically,
question,
well, let me just to clarify so I don't
okay.
forget and get things crisscrossed here. So first, Milligan
Yeah,
is
yeah.
effectively saying either NDA and a payout, or we're gonna sue the shit out of you. Those are the two options fundamentally.
Yes.
Okay. So what she's gonna say to that is this: the NDA, let's just say the NDA option. I cannot make any guarantees, but that is a possibility. The
I said,
legality, or excuse me, the
and I said, make
lawsuit.
the call.
Yeah, well, she's going to give you a little bit more of a detailed
Yeah.
answer that basically involves something like getting the chain of command involved and having legal check it all out. So it's going to probably take a couple days before they can get anything drafted, even if they wanted to, and even if they will, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, ad nauseum. Now, regarding the "we'll sue the shit out of you" option, she basically gives you something of a smirk, and you may or may not notice it's meant to be. I bet you won't, but it's also a certain amount of playfulness involved. Like, okay, good luck. Uh, and she does say, if you think you have a case, I can't stop you from pursuing legal action without either an NDA or any other sort of cease and desist. So
And I say, exactly.
if you feel that's the course you need to take, I feel like, okay, Charles, I know you know this one. I feel like if that's
Yeah.
the course you're gonna take, stomps her foot, stomps her foot,
Yeah.
stomps her
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah. Yeah. The professor. This is not gonna be. This is gonna be on the test.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't do that, of course, but she's definitely given that tone of like, if you think that's the course of action that you should take, I can't stop you.
Right.
And again, I want to be clear. Like, there's certain things she can volunteer, certain things that she could support. Everything else is what her job mandates her to do.
All right. And so then I'm gonna put my hand up, at, and with half a face of burrito, and go. What if we find?
Sorry, I'm literally picturing burrito pieces like hanging off the corner of your mouth or something.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah.
Are you then also like pointing at her with the
Yes. Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
burrito?
Putting the
With the
half-eaten
burrito.
burrito at her.
Yeah. With the happy burrito. I'm not saying that we are going to do extracurricular activities or extra legality activities. But if we find this chucklehead that was the skipper of this and the engineer of this, what's our potential reward if they came back to wherever
Ooh.
this is? And I kind of wave my hands around.
Like wherever this is on Beowulf, burrito stuff
Yeah.
spewing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I think you legit stump her, and she
Yeah.
has that look on her face of like, "Fuck, he stumped me. I have no answer for this. I was not prepared for this." But it stays there for about 2 seconds as she realizes that she's actually presenting that face, and she, it steals it over again, and she says, "First, good luck. We lost sight of him shortly after you radioed in that your ship had been disabled.
Uh-huh.
We caught the minimalist of a ping." And I'm using ping very loosely because I don't think that's how it works in space. But we caught the minimalist of a ping bouncing off your own ship's hull.
Yeah.
And then it was gone. And I'll say this out of character just because like the technical side of it that she goes into is what she caught, or the ping that they caught, was the drive plume of their ship as it moved away from yours. Now, the drive plume can be picked up by itself. The residual heat that it generates and all that stuff, I think somewhere in there, the sensor readings were somewhat confusing to the initial operator and then further refinement, etc. So they had the target lock. It wasn't a target lock, but you follow me, like a sensor lock on the Wayfinder. And when the Empire ship separated after the captain landed aboard it, it obviously spun the hull around and then ignited its drive plume to get away. I think somewhere in there must have been some sort of extraneous signal emitted from this quote unquote stealth ship that bounced off bounced off the hull of the Wayfinder. So for a moment, they had a lock and a trace on the Empire ship, and then it was gone. They have
Right.
no idea. They could speculate, because if you're at Beowulf, you can go so far with what they understand as far as how starter warp drive works. You can only go so far, but obviously, let's say there's 5 different ways to go. Well, each of those 5 has 1 to 3 more ways to go. So the further and further out you go, it's less likely you're going to be able to find them unless you can keep up with them. And of course, nobody has been able to do that. So when you mentioned bringing him in, she's stumped as far as an answer, but then also she's like, good luck. We lost sight of him minutes after you radioed in that there was a problem.
All right, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna just harumph as I finish, just loudly munching through my poorly microwave burrito,
Yeah.
and
You got through
loudly
the frozen crunchy center.
yeah, and then loudly suck down the red bug juice.
The red water. That's what we're calling it.
Yeah, the red water. Yeah, purposely moving the straw around with that.
that straw slurping sound at the end.
Yeah, and
And
just
so
roll my eyes.
I speak up at that point and said, so if y'all have actual evidence that the stealth ship left our ship the moment it became sabotaged, why on earth would you try to label all of the crew here that saved that ship with collusion? Would we not have all been on that stealth ship?
She's giving you a thoughtful expression, almost as if she's trying to figure out not just what to say or like how to say it, but like how to even answer that question. And the next
Because
words
she's been told to say one thing and knows the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. But then like the next words out of her mouth kind of come out a little, they come out more from the empathetic side than from the I'm doing my job side. And she says something to the effect of, there are 23 people on that ship, and we know 2 of them were traitors. We didn't know how many others were traitors. We
And I
had to
say,
be
I
sure.
understand that. But why would any of them have stayed behind when the ship was sabotaged on a collision course with the planet?
Do you play chess, Mr. Milligan? Have you ever played chess?
I played chess.
Then you're well aware that sometimes the pawns are sacrificed so that the other pieces can do their jobs.
And
I just shrug at that. That still does not answer the question
Perhaps.
as to why you would be forcing a charge of collusion upon us when we were doing everything we could to figure out what was going on and prevent it if possible.
I think her...
I'm
Go ahead.
gonna look at him real quick and just say, man, this was set up from the beginning. We're the pawns. We're being sacrificed for some precious king or queen, dude.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. One of my players is going to literally and purposefully flip my words around. No, I'm joking when I say that. I think what she says to that is that, one, her tone is definitely from the sympathetic side. Is like, there's... Oh, Jesus Christ. I already forgot what you were saying a second ago now. Let my brain wander off on that one, trying to figure out how to answer it. What was the final statement you said there, Thurgar?
I don't even know anymore.
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
just trying to say, why on earth are they still trying to
why are
pin
you
collusion
hitting
on
us? Yeah. Why are you charging us with collusion?
And affecting us from this point into the future when they know who was really responsible?
Again, Mr. Milligan, the only thing I can reference back to is that there is a larger image here that we still don't have all the pixels to. And I hope somebody appreciates my terminology there. I think at this point, she will also say something to the effect of, feeling like we're just going to basically keep going in circles here. So she's going to end the conversation unless anybody else has anything else that she wants, or anything else that they want to bring up or mention or what have you.
Is she going to make the call about the NDA?
She has not indicated specifically whether she will or won't or when, but she has clearly taken it under advisement. In fact, if you were to bring it up again, and let's just say you did, she is making a note on her tablet, but she doesn't say anything specifically about whether or not it pertains to the NDA.
So, I mean, at that point, I'm just going to ask, is there a chance? I mean, since we obviously got to hang around here for what, another 24, 12 hours or whatever, is there a chance we can get something other than the last season of robot mech fighting and the news from Terrain from last year and the first two seasons of Space Opera Friends and things like that?
Space Opera
Can we actually
Friends.
can we be allowed to like actually get up and come out of the dungeon? And I'm just gonna say it with such
With the air
snark.
quotes. You got to put like
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the snark and all the air quotes. You got to like
Exactly.
pantomime the
Yeah.
shit out of that one.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah. Can we at least
the
get some?
dungeon.
Yeah, the fresh air, right, of this whatever planet we're on. Blah blah blah.
She will respond with, as I'm sure you're aware, there comes a point when the 5 S's have to be enacted. And I will see what I can do about the lockouts on the entertainment and the link to at least make things a little bit more accommodating.
I'm just saying
Probably get somebody to come
two-
down here and restock this break room that you guys have apparently destroyed half of the food in here. As
Well,
she
because
points
you
to
haven't fed us.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I said you haven't fed us. Let alone I'm going to point to IAL and his brother Spearman. Yeah, and just go. These two knuckleheads are going so stir crazy that they're actually coming up with imaginary games and quoting each other all the movies we've seen. It's getting annoying.
Yeah, so I think there would be an increase in internet and link and television access over the next, for the rest of the afternoon and evening.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to berate her or question her about?
No.
Meds.
Meds. Ah, yes, the medical attention. She actually looks at Wyatt and she's kind of like, "Fuck, yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen." And she actually
Really?
no,
I'm not supposed to.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go. That wasn't supposed to happen, snark.
No, that was like legit. She's actually a little bit upset with her guards, so she actually turns to one of the knuckleheads that she left outside in the hallway, and she says, "You, get your fucking corpsman in here. Attend to the damn XO. Like, come on, dude. Clearly grew up in space and is not used to full gravity. Come on." Like, she's definitely like, and this, I think, I'll let the player interpret how or determine how their character interprets that, but like, I will tell you above board, like, she is like 100% serious. Like, that was not, like, there might have been some questionable bullshit going on with all this detaining and questioning, but this was not part of any sort of plan at any point in time. This is some guard that got a fucking hard on or something. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, so on the next morning, everybody gets woken up around about 7:30 in the morning. You're given about enough time to shower and dress and eat, and eventually get everybody rounded up and moved up to the ground floor or the ground level, whatever. And you guys are all loaded on to the bus again. Of course, I don't know. I keep picturing like a school bus or
a
public
range
transit.
bus.
Yeah, the range bus. There you go. That brings back memories too. At least it's not a cattle truck. Anyway, you guys are loaded up on a bus, and enough room for you and a couple of guards. And these guards are not armed with their rifles, but they do have their sidearms. And it takes probably a few hours to get from the holding facility you guys were at, the African Safari bus. There you go. It takes about a few hours to get from there to Aliceport. And then basically, excuse me, you guys arrive around noon, and out processing is basically a lot of paperwork being filled out. Excuse me again. A lot of paperwork being filled out for various reasons at various stations, and the wait at each station can be anywhere from a moment or two to a half hour, depending on the station and its purpose. Charles, I know you know what I'm talking about. As
You failed to fill out the WIT&T form in
Yep.
pure blue ink. Start again from line 1.
Yep.
Go back to the end of the line.
Some of these stations, just to give you guys an example, because I'm using some military experience here, it could be anything administrative or personnel related to you. If you have any family members that also, not necessarily a whole nother station, but that would be that one station that covers that. Anything legal, like powers of attorney, things of that nature. A whole metric fuck ton of 6 different medical stations, all pertaining to very specific parts of the medical and mental health process. Financial claims, claims for when your claims have been lost, property that you have to turn in that was assigned to you, and of course any claims for that. The bureaucracy is outlandish at this point. Like, there is, if you could think of something stupid for a company to make sure you have the last little bit of a signature and a couple of initials on a few pieces of paper, this is where it's done.
All we hear occasionally is some guy going, "I didn't know they were going to charge me for $16 for this stupid writing pad.
Yeah.
It went down the space drain. Jesus."
Yep. And so,
and there's probably somebody else going, "It's not clean enough. Come back again when you clean it."
Yeah, that's a whole separate station. It's got its own wing because it's half warehouse, half turn in. Some have, like I just said, some have property to turn in, claims for damages, etc. And at the very end, other than the final check, is a psychological station that everybody has to go through and sit through a 20 to 45 minute session with the resident psychologist to assess for possible onset of PTSD related concerns. Now, I say that kind of jokingly, but I'm going to tell you right now, that is not entirely a real accurate thing, but maybe it should be considering the mental health concerns that this country has, but also maybe not making it one of the last stops that you have to do as part of your out processing, because at this point, everybody's stressed the fuck out, and all they want to do is get the fuck out and get back on with their life. Anyway, enough of that mini soapbox right there. The entire process takes probably about 3 days or so before everybody is finished. Now, if there's anything you want to get into, get after, interact with other people, you have a moment or two to do that. Otherwise, I would like to move on to our final scene for the evening.
I'm good.
Was there any NDA in any of this?
Not so. As the NDA follow-up, anytime it is brought up, the quote-unquote NDA option, nobody that you interact with at this out processing facility has any answer for you. They kind of look at you like, what are you talking about, NDA? And they'll like flip through papers, scroll through a tablet, and there's no indication whatsoever of an NDA.
You have to go to the next line, sir.
Yeah, you might even get one of those like, I got nothing here. Maybe check legal station 4.
Yeah. And then legal turns and goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, because you didn't fill out and check this block. You need to start at station 1 all over again." And they're purposely giving us the runaround when we asked about that.
Yeah, I feel like there's a part of it is somewhat of a runaround because some people are just easily entertained that way. But I think there's also a certain amount of like legitimacy. Like, no, I legit don't know anything about this NDA. Maybe legal will help you and then you get to legal and they're like, no, nothing in your paperwork in here says anything about an NDA. I don't know what you're talking about. Have you checked with personnel? And it's not so much a runaround. It's just like they're trying to give you the best answer they can, but they literally know nothing as far as the NDA is concerned.
Right. And I'll say, oh, it was because of being illegally detained by Flex for however many days that was. That's what it's about.
At which point, I'll say this. So when you bring up any sort of illegal function that has happened over the last, I don't know, like week, 1 or 2 random individuals in the legal office or any of the legal stations kind of look over and be like, here, take my card. They won't say anything else.
And I'll say that's nice and all, but you're one of them.
So be it.
We're going to get a core lawyer to come out here.
Fair enough. And that's pretty much how that interaction will go. When it,
Okay.
and I feel like it'll probably come up like once, maybe twice, 3 times, maybe once a day. That
Oh,
sort
I'll
of thing.
bring it up as many times as you can.
Every single. It doesn't matter if that station has nothing to do with anything except your
I'm like, is this
ears.
the NDA? Is this the NDA station?
Sir, I just need to make sure your hearing is good. You need to take a hearing test. That's literally all that we do here. Paperwork, please.
So the only thing I'm going to add to this, just for shenanigans' sakes,
Uh-huh.
before you close this up, is when I go talk to the PTSD dude, is I'm going to be honest. I'm going to like hey, space travel scares the living daylights out of me. Space, blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
All this other stuff, and then I'm just gonna just start acting a little more weirder than usual, and just kind of see how much I could throw him off his game, and then suddenly switch to seriousness and go, we're moving really, really fast, right? And if someone stopped this, this would be horrible. We'd all get flown off, and just all sorts of non sequiturs, and just
Jesus Christ. You're really laying it on this dude. Meanwhile, it's just like,
yeah.
Meanwhile, I feel like he's just sitting there with his little notepad or whatever, or his tablet, and he's just like,
And every time he takes a note, he's like, is that plus 5 points or minus 5 points? What do I need to win the game?
And he just kind of looks at you. He's just like, how does that make you feel if I told you there are no points because they don't matter and the rules are made up? Not a reference to some other show.
I'm going to say, oh, you have the line. Okay.
This game is actually pretty fun. This little game of which one can we reference? What things can we reference without referencing it?
Yeah. And then I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna look at him a little cockeyed too. But then I'm just gonna drop everything and go. Yeah, seriously, like space travel now scares the living daylights out of me.
When you get your paperwork back from him, there'll be a note at this so you'll have the paperwork you would get from the station itself. And then you have like a master checklist. I know you know what I'm talking about, but you have like a master checklist, right? So your stack of papers that you get from him will have like some brief notes, whatever, and a signature or two. And on the master checklist, it'll have his stamp saying that you're good to go. And then under there in like the comments section, it'll be psychologically sound, fit for duty. Because he doesn't want to deal with it. You know, like I feel like this guy would probably be just like bored to tears. Just wants to he knows these people are out processing for one reason or another, right? Some people, and this is another thing I forgot to mention, but as you're going through this out processing process, goddamn, that's redundancy. As you're going through this entire process, you'll notice other people going through it as well. And some of these people are like, yeah, I'm retiring. Yeah, I'm done. I'm just going to move on. I'm going to go, sell starships for a living. And there's other people that are like, yeah, they caught me smoking crack like 6 times. I gotta go. Like they're booting me.
Right.
Fuck the man. I don't know why you can't smoke crack on a spaceship that's flying through space so damn fast. You're gonna crash somewhere. Might as well have a little bit of a good time.
Actually, I got a better one for you. There's this is one lone guy. I don't know why they kept saying I couldn't smoke in the ships.
Wow. Now we just referenced our own material. That's enough of the loop right there. We have hit the mega level. All right, anybody got anything else before we move to our final scene here?
Where's our stuff?
Where's our stuff?
That's a great question.
I have like $100,000 worth of stuff. I have the BMW.
No, you did. You did. I'm actually scamming. I'm scanning my notes.
He's scamming us.
That's right.
No, I'm not trying. No, I wouldn't do that because I meant if I didn't, I know what my original intent was. And that is eventually, at somewhere along the way, all of your personal property that is very clearly not Flex's will be brought to you probably in that housing. I'll just say housing facility. I almost said holding facility, but that's not the right word. So wherever you guys have been staying at in Aliceport, which is also another station that you need to clear before you can leave. It's like next to last. Because you'll have to gather up all your belongings. At some point along the way in those like 2 or 3 days, all your personal gear that you guys have on your character sheets has been brought back to you. Somebody brought it down from the ship. You can tell that other people packed your shit as far as like clothing and stuff like that, and it's very clear, very very clear that all of your personal belongings have been gone through with a fine tooth comb to find any sort of evidence that could possibly be used against you.
Which was
But
zero,
nothing's broken
yet-
unless you want it to be broken and you want to throw that on your list of reasons to hate Flex. I'm okay with that.
I'm good.
So how much do we get paid in this process?
You'll get your final month's pay at your current, whatever your current rate is. So, like for the XO, that's quite a bit of money. For the rest of you, not so much. You'll get the 10,000 Libra. And let me back up. Let's see. So around 5 o'clock in the evening on the 25th of May, you guys, as well as all the other NPCs that were with you, so the two knuckleheads and Kirsty Blaine, Marshall Tran, Jarvis Tillman, all you guys are gathered up basically at the final station where you'll receive your final discharge paperwork and final pay. And that includes the 10,000 Libra severance check. All your personal gear is either you picked it up and thrown it in a duffel bag, thrown it on your back or whatever, or it's just sitting there on the ground. Basically, you guys are sitting outside. You've got all your final pay and all that stuff. From down the road comes Oppenheimer, dressed in something similar to the streetwear version of a uniform, so like BDUs or something like that. I say BDUs. I don't know what your guys' military experience is other than Charles, but something like your normal daytime work uniform that you can afford to get dirty. She comes up and she says, "I have your NDA. I can't give you any more than the money I was told to give you, the 10,000, and I know that's going to be a problem for you." And she looks dead at Milligan when she says that, but she does have the NDA, or rather, she has a physical hard copy of it. It's several pages long.
So while she's kind of holding it, I'm going to rip it out of her hands and just kind of start skimming it.
Yeah.
Did she just say she has an NDA but no money?
She has the NDA, but the only money that you're going to get outside of your normal paycheck, your final paycheck, is that 10,000 that she initially mentioned before.
And so I ask her, and I'm trying to be nice to her because I understand, she's got a little empathy or whatever, and she's just doing her job. I'm like, why would we sign an NDA at this point with what we've been put through without being compensated?
Mr. Milligan, I feel like that's a very fair question. Unfortunately, it's not one I can answer to anything close to your liking. Best I can do is give you what I've given you.
Danny Stevens? Do you know Vice President Danny Stevens?
Okay, so you're referencing your ally contact, whatever.
Yeah. Why not? Throw that out there.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Let me look in Discord real quick just to refresh my memory of what his specifics were there. Give me just a second.
He operates logistics.
Yeah.
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 It just seems entirely foolish for them to bring us an NDA with no compensation.
The only answer she has to that is something basically, I'm going to tell you, this is all she's got. She can't do any more than that. Now, the answer she gives you is going to sound a little bit better, but effectively, that's what it is. Like, she shot it up the chain of command and it got shot down. If you don't sign the NDA, like at the end of the day,
that's it.
Yeah, so she can give you the 10 grand and you'll keep that regardless because you've literally got the checks in your hands, right? You can choose to sign the NDA or you can not sign the NDA. You're under no obligation to do it.
Right, and I'm gonna probably go through there and find that hey, we're not gonna lose the money, we're not gonna lose our stuff, and I'm gonna just mention that to Milligan, and I'm gonna make this just so you can have something. I'm gonna do another advocate roll because I'm reading it for you. Oh, look at that! That's a 12.
Yeah, so what you're trying to shoot for sounds like it went through.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say, hey, at least they're not gonna charge us with all the high crimes they're gonna do. We're just being let go for the good of the service.
Effectively, yeah, like for the good of the company, the company's interests, They're effectively, so basically, like at the end of the day, they are separating you from the company because they need to trim that bad fat or bad cancer, if you will. That's their perspective. It's like you guys are somehow caught up in this shit. We can't figure out exactly how. Our own investigation failed Our own investigation failed to find that answer. So therefore, our safest bet at this point in time is to let you go and move on with life.
And they're not even going to mention it because I flipped through the reef of paperworks underneath my arm, and I'm going to say, look, even the discharge code just says, a discharge due to excessive overhead, right? So we're not even
something along those lines. Like they're not even. Yeah, you're right. Like they're not even like. They investigated for the possibility of whether or not you guys could be charged, right? Yep. They didn't find sufficient evidence or reason to charge you. You were investigated for, but nothing conclusive was found. Because nothing was conclusive found for or against, they've decided to let you go. Does that make sense? Because if they hold on to something that they're not sure of, that makes them look bad if you go bad. It makes them look good if you go good because they can always spin it later on and be like, yeah, we knew they'd be fine. That's why we held on to them. But if you go bad and they held on to you, like, yeah, that makes us look bad. We can't take that chance.
Oh, I understand them wanting to remove the entire crew from the company. I don't begrudge them that one bit. They could have done that the second we walked off the ship.
Right.
It's everything that happened between then and now that's the problem.
Yes. And the NDA also has a clause, paragraph, section pertaining to the, we'll just call it illegal detention. Australis also mentions, by the way, he says, I feel that the not signing the NDA results in Flex will remember this appearing in the top right corner.
That'll be okay.
Yeah. So fundamentally, the situation, and I'm telling you this, GM to players, the position you guys are in right now is you're basically being given the best option you could possibly ever get with a clean break from Flex, with a little extra money in your pockets, and no requirement to sign an NDA / if you want to throw this shit to the media and let the wolves have it, nothing legally is stopping you. If you want to keep your mouth shut about it, that's your choice.
All right, so campaign shift. We get a ship, we go to Earth.
I saw that.
We go get a class action lawsuit, wait 5 to 10 years for the lawsuit to get concluded.
And all the commercials that are going to be like, have you or someone you know loved served with Flex and been put in dire situations?
Been illegally detained.
Yeah, there you go.
So, I mean, we have our gear, we have our money, and then she comes wanting us to sign the NDA.
Because you made a big stink about it. I shouldn't say you made a big stink, but you did bring it up several times. And so if you wanted to follow through with that.
Right, but it came with a financial incentive.
Right.
And that's not there.
Right.
So
and she is
I'm
saying
not
that she
signing
can't.
that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where she's coming from. Like her standpoint, and she kind of tries to say this without actively saying it, but she's like, listen, you made a big deal about this NDA with extra cash entitlement that she cannot give you. She tried to get shot down. And she's standing there waiting for you to determine whether or not you want to sign it or whether or not you want to take it to legal representation for further review before you sign it. She's waiting for your response, and she knows. I think somewhere deep inside, she knows, like, at this point, you guys would be stupid to sign that because now you can't sue us if you do.
Oh, but I want a copy. I'll just tell her I'm going to let somebody legal look at it, and I will, but not for the reason she thinks. I want my copy, but I'm not signing anything.
I mean, I'll take it and I'll sign it, but I'll offer. But hang on, I'll explain it. I mean, the fact that I'm going to be, and I'm going to mention that I worked for the Innsbruck Colonial Police Force. Corrupt lawyers and corrupt police chiefs and criminals constantly going through, and pirates, and mentioned McAvoy going through as a pirate, and they knew, and blah blah blah. I don't want to be stuck again holding the bag, and that's why the reason I switched to become a security agent for the arms company I worked for. Right. But then I'm going to look at her dead in the eye and say, the offer still stands. If we find this jerkwad. We'll bring him in, dead or alive.
Dead.
Well,
Or alive.
and I'm gonna point to him.
I just speak loud and clear on that.
Oh
one.
yeah,
Dead.
oh yeah. No, he says we'll
Yeah.
bring him in dead and alive or whatever, and then Milligan immediately is like, "No, dead. There's no question."
Yeah. Yeah,
Give me
and
just a
then-
second, guys. I need to boot somebody from my chat.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, somebody wants to come in soliciting without even saying hi or anything. Listen, if you're gonna come in here and say that shit, you at least gotta say hi. Also, we don't really want to hear that shit.
nice.
Nope, that one. That's the one I want.
What kind of soliciting?
It's the kind that
It's all about fans. It's all
Yeah.
about fans.
Yeah.
Oh,
and not the OnlyFans type.
Yeah.
oh.
Do you already love on several erections without any way
Oh
to
my
relieve
God.
them?
Oh
Come
my
to this
God.
website.
All right. Does anybody have anything else? What are we gonna do with this NDA? Are we gonna take it
I'm
for
not
legal
signing
review?
Get it?
I'm taking
Yeah,
one, but I'm not signing. Yeah.
If it's
Well,
not
hold
at
on.
least 7 digits.
Let me clarify. So the NDA, one, it's obviously in hard copy. It's in this nice, not a manila folder. It'd be like a 2-pocket folder kind of deal, right? There is a section for everybody to sign it, right? It very clearly states things to the effect of, don't share this with the media, don't share this with anybody, don't talk to anybody, blah, 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 about everything going as far back as when you guys left Alpha Centauri, the terrain, whatever station it was you guys were at.
Right.
Now,
So who's trying to cover shit up now? Sorry.
well, so like from a legal standpoint, they're just trying. I think Flex is trying to keep the bad limelight off of the company. That's really where they're coming from at this point with you guys.
Oh, I understand that.
So
I'm curious, so I'm going to ask her. I'm like, do you have a copy of the video of Captain Briggs on the station planting the explosives?
do you have a copy that clearly identifies Captain Briggs being the one that was placing the explosives?
I mean, like, hypothetically, let's say that such a video may or may not exist.
And I'm gonna shake my hand, look hard at Milligan, and point my hands at the XO and go, "This guy, making that face like, follow this guy, not."
So I'm like, clearly is up to debate, of course. The blazon on his vac suit is plain.
Sure. But we all know those vac suits are only closely fitted to an individual, not specifically fitted. Listen, this is why Flex has chosen to eliminate you from our payroll. We have inconclusive evidence, one way or the other. If you're expecting any sort of exoneration or even just a clap on the back and compensation, bring me hard, clear, irrefutable evidence.
So I look at her and I say, innocent until proven guilty.
Mr. Milligan, I wish I could help you better than this, but I can't.
Oh, I know you can't. I know you're tied into Flex. You obviously are okay with that to some degree.
She kind of gives you like a quick look, and she's like, "Nope, not gonna tell him how many shots it takes to go to sleep at night."
So I know where you're coming from. I said, but I also know where we came from and who's at fault and who's not at fault. And as a corporation, as corporations do, you want to place blame and you don't have the person in hand that's guilty. So you're going to place blame on the innocent with
It's
no
a very
proof.
interesting interpretation of how things have turned out. I can't say you're wrong, but I think you have some fine points. And as she starts going into some sort of rebuttal, she is first. Two things happen almost simultaneously. It's almost eerie how simultaneously they happen. So first, she gets a call, and she does the whole holds her hand up and says, "I'm sorry, I really do need to take this. I'm not blowing you off. Whether or not you, the player, decide that your character believes that, I'll leave that up to you. There's no rolling needed here." She is, as far as you could tell, being serious, and she steps away to take a call. At about the same time, Paul Gray pops in from around the corner or something to that effect. He's like, "Hey, guess what, guys? We can actually have a sit down with Iron Mike Tankerson tomorrow evening. Should I close this in and let this happen?
I'm game.
Might as well. Let's see what it has to say.
And I'm also gonna look at her and just make the call me sign. And
Towards Oppenheimer?
Yeah, towards Oppenheimer.
Okay.
And then mention, and then just kind of pantomime, because I know she's on the phone. Pantomime, I may have film, but
Okay.
and then again, also very like hush hush, very secret, da da da.
Yeah,
And
she
then
gives you she gives you a look, like on her face it says, "I got you," but then her free hand, is like, "Dude, no, not right now. You don't know who's on the other end of this phone call. Shut up."
right. Well, yeah, and I'm not saying it, but I'm like
Yeah.
strictly.
Yeah. In fact, she
I
kind
only
of
know what
does
the
all
hell
that,
Wade
and then
means.
she'll start walking away because she knows, like, if she sticks around, she doesn't want, either what you guys might say to get heard. She definitely doesn't want you guys to hear what's being told to her.
Yeah.
So she's
I'm like,
gonna
I just turned to
exit
Hellwig.
stage left, talking into a cell phone.
I just say softly, it's probably his grace.
All right,
And
and then we will wrap there because that is everything I had planned for the night. I am
Nice.
kind of abruptly ending it right there, but so fundamentally, you guys will have a meeting with Tankerson the next business day, whatever day that is. Charles, I think you were getting ready to say something for a quick second there.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say that hey, we're I was just gonna mention that I need to send her the notes about my secret, because I never got that back with my stuff. Was my little secret geek stick with the
Oh, is that the one that you put like in the ceiling tiles or whatever?
yeah.
I got bad news
So
for you, friend.
Yeah, they probably don't. They probably found it.
They probably found it, and it's probably been put into an evidence bag.
Right. Which is what I was hoping that the video would have been on. I may have a copy someplace, but we'll figure it out from there. And that's my outro.
Well played. We can't let that be the only bit of your outro, because the other question, of course, is thoughts on tonight's session.
I think it was great. I think again the whole second round of interrogation, we regret to inform you that we're basically firing everyone from this organization right now. Was well played, and I think the whole how to get processed out. Although we kind of hand-waved through a lot of that, the flashbacks of getting that when I got out, or even just dealing with any bureaucracy. And I was desperately looking for like DMV things for the
DMV. Oh my god, fuck that. Oh my god. Oh, please. I'm getting flashbacks from that.
Yeah. So short version is I thought it was a great session today, and we'll see. I was surprised we got the NDA. To be perfectly honest with you, I thought that was going to be one of those. So sorry, so sad.
I forgot that you guys had mentioned it, because I think pretty sure one of y'all mentioned something about an NDA last week, and so when I prepped, I didn't put anything in here about an NDA. I'm pretty sure if I Control F NDA, it won't come up with anything. I'm not going to, but but you guys brought it up a couple times tonight, and I was like, you know what? I wonder if this were a real life scenario, right? Like, would there be an NDA offered, or even would there be an NDA pushed? Like, no, sign this, or quote unquote, or else. Because when a company gets in this kind of a situation, like, they don't want people talking about this shit. And you guys have basically been given almost a carte blanche in that regard.
Yeah.
But there might be more to that than. Anyway. Anything else there, Charles?
Nope. I'm good. I'm set.
Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Agent Wiggles with all the G's in the world, -1.
Yep. The third G stands for gorgeous.
It was gregarious.
Sometimes.
Okay, fair enough. It's interchangeable. Thoughts on tonight and your outro, please, sir.
Fun. It was fine. We would eventually have figured out how to escape if given enough time.
Yeah.
But that's always been a problem with like prison escape stuff. Science fiction prisons have to either be designed by morons, or they're kind of impenetrable.
Yeah.
So, like, it would be really easy to make it so that we can't ever leave, right? Because they could just, like... Anyway, I'm glad that someone just eventually just let us out. That's good. That's fine. I'm excited to see what happens next session. It sounds like that we're actually going to start moving into whatever the heck this campaign is, and for this season.
Yes. Australia says, I mean, there is a Traveler module called Prison Planet I could have used. I could have, honestly, I'll say this.
I have thoughts and words and paragraphs and essays on Prison Planets.
I'll say this. When I wrote tonight's session, I knew going in that there would have to be some sort of follow-up from last week, insofar as, here they are, what happens next.
Yeah.
And I knew at the end, what I intended at least, was that at the end, that you guys would be getting separated from Flex. And so I kind of had to fill in the in-between, which I thought about it, and it's like, okay, you know what? These guys have been locked up. What if I crank the pressure up a little bit, crank up that isolation a little bit, and then make the middle scene about everybody reconnecting? And then tie it directly into, we're firing you. And I felt like that was the best way to handle where we left off and where we're headed to next. And I hope that worked.
No, I think it worked.
Good. I think it worked. And I hope, like I said, I hope it worked. And I feel like it worked, and I think it makes sense narratively speaking. Australis, I don't recall, to be totally honest, if anybody got ship shares. I think there was maybe one or two across the group, but also when we started this group, it had a different population.
And I think per the rules for 2300, ship shares are dealt differently than no, that's task membership. That's right.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's just not the same amount, I don't think.
Yeah.
The economics are different.
Yeah, some of the numbering is a little bit different. But, Wiggles, did you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm fine.
Okay. And lastly, Thurgor, who likes to almost run me through a ringer.
Well, I've been purposefully contrarian throughout this whole thing.
I appreciate that, honestly.
Yeah.
I do.
That's not his normal demeanor around the ship or anything else like that. That probably raised some eyebrows, maybe like Tran, who's been around him before and not seen me like that.
Right. No, it makes sense.
That may give him a different impression of me at this point. But once I get settled back into his ship and doing my job, that's probably all going to go away.
Because that's Milligan the normal. This is Milligan the abnormal, because things are very fucking weird right now.
Yep.
And it makes perfect fucking sense. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
My original thing was to quit and not be fired. But you know what? You don't get severance pay when you quit. So as soon as they mentioned severance pay, I kept my mouth shut. So that's why I didn't ever bring up that particular point.
They say that when you make the sale, you make the ask and you shut up, and the first person that talks loses. And you did exactly that. And you didn't get a number you would have liked, but you got a number that was better than you could have got.
Right.
Australis, to clarify, ship shares weren't used. I don't remember who got what, and it's almost immaterial at this point, simply because of the original 4 players, there are only 2 still at the table, and then we have Thurgor himself, who may or may not have gotten a ship share as well.
I think I have one.
Yeah, but because of the nature of the Wayfinder, basically the crew was assigned to the Wayfinder, the need for ship shares wasn't as much. The ship shares may be readdressed later for one reason or another along the way, but to clarify for you, Australis, the NDA was kind of a... Well, like I said there a minute ago, I don't think I actually have it in my notes to have had an NDA, but because you kept bringing it up, I offered it, even though you'd already been given your severance and all that stuff. So basically, the characters can basically say, fuck you, we're not signing shit, we're going to sue the fuck out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thurgor, please continue, though. I apologize for interrupting. I just wanted to... Let's try to brought it up a couple of times. I wanted to try to answer his questions as best I could.
Oh, that's pretty much it. And I'll say, as far as these last couple sessions and what it's generated for us, this isn't going to go away anytime soon. So,
No.
this is going to keep getting revisited no matter what else we go out there and do. The potential payoff from this is, I don't know, conceivably
Astronomical. I went
Well,
there.
pretty big. I mean, definitely more than one trip of trading, that's for sure. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that potential.
Yeah.
Definitely think I'm going to get in touch with some journalists first and get the word
I
out.
just happen to know a
and just
journalist.
kind of go from there.
Just happen to know one.
All right.
No, Australians, there is a plan in place for them to get their own ship. They will be having one in the near future, I'll say. It's coming. It's coming.
My only question as an outro thing is
It won't be a pinnacle.
where are we headed
The pinnace?
right this second?
Sorry,
are
what
we
were you
going
saying,
back
Thurgor?
to? I said my only question at this point is, and we may just have to get into it and play it next time, but where is it that we're physically headed next?
Well,
All the way back to Seoul, or what?
well, for the moment, you guys are going to be on Beowulf for probably next session. You'll probably be on Beowulf. I'm starting to get into the projecting instead of the planning, but probably be on or in the system of Beowulf or Queen Alicestar for a little while. You know what? I'll go ahead and say it. This is what I am projecting for second season, and I'll say it live, so it's on the video and all that stuff. The next few sessions will involve Beowulf and the eccentrically orbiting Grendel. You guys will basically encounter your patron, and you'll do some work for him before he has sufficient trust. You got to build your faction up with him, basically. And then eventually, if you do well with him, and you don't piss him off or kill him, or want him to kill you, eventually then you will be sent on your own mission to get your own unique starship. And by unique, I mean, Milligan and I have been talking about it off and on for a few weeks. Basically, you'll get ownership of that vessel. And by the time that happens, I'm expecting or thinking that will be the end of season 2, but no guarantees. I haven't quite gotten into all the planning on how long that's going to take and whatnot. So that way, if we do that, I'm looking at season 3 being where you guys are basically, you have your patron support, of course, but you are otherwise on your own to make your own free choices, and you have the entire universe to go wander, explore, and fuck shit up.
Yay!
Make sure to budget time for a dragon bat hunt, though.
Well, no promises.
While we're here and everything.
No promises, but all things are negotiable. Invasion has been pushed back another month. Well, it's a good thing I could just keep making up my own shit, right? Fucking shit. Come on, Mongoose. We want Invasion. I said that live too, so please, don't make me beg. Thurgor, you got anything else before I start narrating my own freaking outro shit?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate the session. I always have a little bit of, I don't want to say trepidation, it's too heavy, but I always have a little bit of nervousness or something like that when I plan a number of scenes. One, my biggest fear, or not fear, my biggest thing is whether or not I have too many scenes or not enough scenes. Having too many scenes is not terrible because I can always just cut it off and then that becomes the scenes for the next week. But not having enough time, or having too much time, not enough scenes, that's a different story. They could do Bayern. Well, I'd have to get my hands on it, but also I'm not sure if I want to do that. I don't know if that has enough going on in the getting out there part, but I could be wrong because I've never actually reviewed it. I've skimmed it, and when I say skimmed it, what I really did was I scrolled through it and looked for interesting words from the original GW version. Yeah, I do have something of a plan for moving forward for this season, and then hopefully, by the time we get towards the end of season 2, the ideas for season 3, possibly Invasion, cough, cough, stomp, stomp, will be available, and we can start pushing in that general direction. But more on that, of course, as things develop. My friends, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for hanging out, even if it was just for a little while. Hope you enjoyed the show. As always, get on our Discord, get in the community, become a part of the community, talk some mad shit, throw some mad memes, make me laugh, make my crewmates, my castmates laugh. We entertain ourselves, of course, and we hope that you're entertained by it. So please enjoy yourselves and hang out with us. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, I try not to say this too much because I really don't like hearing it whenever I watch a YouTube video. But of course, if you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, share, and comment, and all the other algorithm things. Blah blah blah. I hate fucking saying that shit, but it never hurts. Other than that, I think if I don't stop talking, it's just gonna be rambling and it won't make sense, and we'll never get out of here. So thanks everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe.